What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty. Join my Discord if you want to chat and share your thoughts, the link is in the description. 9MP Chapter 206 Naruto Otsutsugi arrives. As the discussion deepened, the five shadows clearly felt that their original plan was becoming more and more infeasible. If only there was a better way. Onogi pressed the bridge of his nose tiredly and felt a deep headache. The ninja world has spent so many years in the mode of Ninja Village, and it is impossible to complete the reunification in a short period of time. But now, the pressure from the outside world is too great. In his opinion, if there is a way for the major ninja villages to maintain their independence while supporting each other at any time, then it would be best not to have a gap. But it was also when the five shadows were discussing endlessly because of this matter. There's no need for such a discussion, it's not difficult. The sudden, 4 or 5, sound obviously did not come from any of the five shadows. Who? Therefore, the five shadows and the ninjas around the Weichung meeting also had a huge vigilance in their hearts, and their eyes swept towards the surroundings almost instinctively. And it was at this time that a space was opened in front of them. In the tunnel that was opened from the hole, two figures, one big and one small, were slowly revealed in rhythmic. And these two people are also the father and son duo of Naruto Otsutsugi and Shirin Otsutsugi. You are the one before. And when seeing Otsutsugi's father and son, Wu Ying's heart suddenly exploded with vigilance like a cat seeing a tiger. They recognized the two people in front of them. If they remembered correctly, the other party was two of the three who were last hooked up in the battle not long ago. Although Naruto Otsutsugi didn't actually play a big role in the battle at the time, and Shido Otsutsugi was watching the whole process with soy sauce, the five shadows naturally wouldn't ignore the opponent. Advertisement after all, compared to the Akatsuki organization, the four emperors and the king of ghosts who were already in their intelligence, the three people who suddenly appeared were a brand new force. Moreover, although Naruto Otsutsugi made a move in the whole process, it still did not have any effect, but just from the fact that he could fight with Nagato and others, everyone in the ninja world knew that he must be a 6 paths level powerhouse. And according to their consensus now, even the weakest 6 paths level powerhouse is definitely a super lethal weapon in the ninja world. So at this time, seeing the father and son suddenly rhyme here, also makes their hearts extremely vigilant. My name, Naruto Otsutsugi. This is my son, Otsutsugi Shirin. At this time, Naruto Otsutsugi looked at the five shadows in front of him and proudly announced his name. As the Otsutsugi of the moon, his education made him extremely proud of the surname. But, Otsutsugi. After hearing this surname, the five shadows were even more vigilant, and even some ninjas beside them had secretly formed a seal to give this girl a ninjutsu. After all, you must know that the situation has developed to the present, and the entire ninja world has already had something similar to the shadow of the surname, Otsutsugi. Sage of 6 paths is just a myth in the ninja world, but those who call themselves Otsutsugi in recent years are all real villains. Otsutsugi Night, Otsutsugi Moon and Otsutsugi Yellow Springs, each of them is basically a shadow in the mind of the ninja world. After seeing the performance of everyone in the ninja world, Naruto Otsutsugi was a little embarrassed at this time. The hostility of the ninjas and the actions of gathering Zara naturally could not be concealed from him. He originally thought that after revealing his identity as Otsutsugi, the five shadows would worship without saying that he was a head, but at least he had to show respect. After all, this was the bloodline surname of the creator god of the ninja world. But obviously, his understanding of the ninja world over the years is still a little less. However, at this time, his son Otsutsugi Shirin saved his low emotional father. Followers of the ninja world, my father and I came here with no malice, but came to help you with the will of our ancestors. Advertisement compared with Naruto Otsutsugi, Shirin's speech is obviously a little clearer. Help us. The five shadows naturally expressed doubts about their words, but at the same time, they did not take any extreme actions. Because they actually had a discussion about the position of the Sage of 6 Paths trio that finally hooked up. From their point of view, Sage of 6 Paths is obviously hostile to both the Kaido, Oni King faction and the Akatsuki faction. In other words, in the previous battle, the last party to appear was an unknown neutral party. And after the powerful mysterious ninjutsu pushed the other two back, the Sage of 6 Paths camp did not have any intention to do anything to the ninja world. Therefore, the five shadows also judged the rhyme early, and the opponent should be at least a neutral camp relative to the ninja world. Therefore, at this time, although they did not dare to fully believe Shirin's words, they could continue to listen to them. Who are the ancestors you speak of? Who are you? Where did the surname Otsutsugi come from? What did you say you wanted to help us for? So the most outrageous Reikage took the lead, and immediately raised the most critical questions. After hearing Wu Ying's question, Otsutsugi Kuoren also rhymed in detail with the origin of Naruto Otsutsugi in a low voice. Our ancestor is Otsutsugi Hamura, and 6 Paths ancestor 2.6 is the founder of your ninja world, Sage of 6 Paths Otsutsugi Hagoromo, 93. As for the reason why we came to the ninja world. And as his words deepened, Wu Ying's expression gradually changed from suspicion and vigilance to shock and thought, and then to shock. Different from things like Jingling before, what Otsutsugi said did not deviate from the common sense of their original ninja world, so they had experienced too much shock and accepted it very quickly. But it was precisely because they could accept it that they were even more shocked. What do you mean? The person who pushed the King of Ghosts, the Four Emperors and the Shao organization back is the legendary Sage of Six Paths? Chapter 207 The Moon Network Project. There is no doubt that even if the Five Shadows were given more space to think, they would not be able to imagine the information given by Naruto Otsutsugi and his son. The legendary ancestor of the ninja world, Sage of Six Paths, did not die, and they even saw Sage of Six Paths in action not long ago. There are humans on the moon, and they have been guarding the ninja world. Otsutsugi is a legendary figure in ancient times, and the eyes he possesses are those possessed by the younger brother of Sage of Six Paths, Tensamura. These news are things they have never imagined before. But there is no doubt that they also know that Naruto Otsutsugi and his son have a high probability of not lying. Because what he said was too mystical and easily debunked, it was more like the truth. Especially after going through a lot of things, the Five Shadows' ability to accept this kind of information has obviously been enhanced a lot. So soon, they turned their attention to more critical things. Then ask the two of you, if what you're saying is true, where is Sage of Six Paths now? There is no doubt that 06 is one of their concerns. Sage of Six Paths is the ancestor of the ninja world, and these ninjas naturally respect and have a strong curiosity about it. Especially when they knew that the ancestor of the ninja world had not fallen, they were even more eager to communicate with him. The Six Paths ancestors used the Six Paths yin-yang planetary devastation to seal those strong men, which consumed a lot of chara, and now they have fallen asleep again and will not reappear easily. And our father and son were entrusted by the ancestors of the Six Paths and came here. Naruto Otsutsugi didn't hide his current state of Sage of Six Paths. In fact, if it wasn't for Sage of Six Paths' orders, he would never have been so disgusted with the ninja world in front of Five Shadows. Entrust? You mean? At this time, the Five Shadows also reacted around. It seems that the first sentence of Naruto Otsutsugi, father and son, was that they could help themselves. Advertisement. The ancestor of Six Paths clearly stated that there are indeed many ancient existences that even he does not know very well in the current ninja world. And speaking of this, Naruto Otsutsugi's expression became serious. For example, that Otsutsugi night, it is said that even the ancestors of the Six Paths were not born in the era of its existence. As for the other forces, even the ancestors of the Six Paths have never heard of it. The current ninja world is in the most dangerous era in history, and our father and son are here to help you. After hearing his words, Wu Ying's heart also moved. They also understood what Naruto Otsutsugi meant. The father and son were entrusted by Sage of Six Paths and came to help them. For Wu Ying, this news is undoubtedly a rare good news. Not to mention the specific extent of Naruto Otsutsugi's help, but at least this shows that the ninja world now also has its own Six Paths level powerhouse. With the existence of Naruto Otsutsugi, at least the ninja world will not appear helpless when facing Akatsuki or other major forces. If Sage of Six Paths is the trump card, it will make their hearts more settled. So at this time, Namikaze Minato also said, "You mean, the problems we are facing now, can you solve them?" Of course. Naruto Otsutsugi nodded proudly. Your thoughts are the same as those of the ancestors of the Six Paths. The ninja world must be a piece of iron, and it will be able to face the threats of those powerful existences that follow. Since your big ninja villages can't complete the real questioning in a short period of time, then I will give you a solution according to the idea of the Six Paths ancestors. As he said that, he also directly activated the Tensigan Chara mode. This is. And looking at the Tensisha Chara mode that is almost identical to Otsutsugi Yoruichi, the expressions of the Five Shadows, especially Namikaze Minato's, are also a bit weird. Even though he had heard Naruto Otsutsugi talk about the existence of Tensisan before, seeing this kind of ability rhyme almost identical to the enemies present in front of him with his own eyes made him feel an instinctive sense of unease. Advertisement. But at this time, Naruto Otsutsugi obviously did not notice the strangeness of everyone. He just took out a dark and strange ring from his arms after turning on Tensagan's Chara mode. This is the artifact of the Six Paths ancestors, the Ring of Empty. As he spoke, he also threw the ring directly in front of him, and then he looked directly at him in a twinkling of an eye. The door to space. Open, and as he activated his pupil power, the ring also turned into dozens of tiny rings in the air. And one of the rings continued to expand in the air, and then turned into a stable door of space and appeared in the conference room. On the other side of the gate of space, a scene that is quite familiar to the Five Shadows appeared impressively. This is the headquarters of the Ninja Association of the Iron Country? They recognized at a glance the headquarters of the Ninja World Association where they had held many meetings before, and then they almost understood what Naruto Otsutsugi meant. Your Excellency Naruto, what do you mean? The Ring of Empty is a magic weapon with the ability to stabilize space. When matched with my Tensigan, it can open a stable door to space. Naruto Otsutsugi nodded lightly. The meaning of the Six Paths ancestors is to let each of your major ninja villages take a ring of the sky and open the door of space in their own ninja village. Although this kind of space door cannot accommodate too many people passing through at the same time, in this way, the entire ninja world is equivalent to being integrated into one. 93. No matter which ninja village, you can reach any other ninja village in an instant, and sharing information with each other is no longer a problem. The Six Paths ancestors called this project the Moonweb Project. Chapter 208 doesn't seem like a bad thing. Web of the Moon. When Wu Wei's words came to this point, Yi Lin, who had been listening with peace of mind the whole time, also raised his brows slightly. The naming method of Sage of Six Paths can only be said to be the second disease of the Otsutsugi lineage. Yes. And Wu Wei also nodded, and then got up and said to Yi Lin, "Sir, please come with me." Afterwards, he also took Yi Lin out of the underground secret room of the Grass Ninja, and walked towards the central area of the Grass Ninja village. On the road, Yi Lin also wore the Anbu mask of Kusanagi. After all, his identity has not been known in Kusanagi village for so long, and of course he needs to hide it a little. Wu Wei, adult. Sir Wu Wei. As the leader who brought the Grass Ninja village out of the chaos and developed it to this day, Wu Wei's reputation in the Grass Ninja was obviously the co-leader before it surpassed the gap. There were also many ninjas and civilians greeting him along the way. As for Yi Lin beside Wu Wei, they didn't observe too much. And soon, Yi Lin and Wu Wei also came to the central area of Grass Ninja village. So Yi Lin immediately discovered that there was an extra strange building here. It was a building that was apparently recently renovated, and it seemed to have two different routes in and out, each of which was guarded by Kusanagi ninjas. From the building, Yi Lin could even see ninja figures with other ninja villages guarding their foreheads from time to time. After following Wu Wei into the building, Yi Lin then also saw the huge door of space in the center of the building. Above the door of space, a ring is hanging on it as expected. Is this the space door of the Moon Web project you said? Yes. After hearing Yi Lin's words, Wu Wei also nodded. Now, such a space gate has been built in the entire Ninja World's ninja villages, leading to the Ninja World Association headquarters in the Iron Country. Advertisement. Passing through this space door requires a special badge, and only the leader of each ninja village is qualified to issue a certain number of badges, which can ensure the safety of the space door. Entering each ninja village must go through a security check, and you can enter after confirming your identity as a ninja in the ninja village. Then from the headquarters of the Ninja World Association, you can go to various ninja villages. Wu Wei explained it like this, while Yi Lin was somewhat frowning. He was vaguely aware of some sense of déjà vu. This thing. A bit like a transportation hub in a previous life? That's right, he thinks that this so-called Moon Net plan seems to be very similar to those transportation hubs in his previous life. Each ninja village is equivalent to a different station of the starting station, while the headquarters of the Ninja World Association is similar to a central processor. Moreover, even the way of handling this way is the same as what Yi Lin knows about buying tickets one by one and going through the security check. No matter how you look at it, the sense of sight is quite strong. Zero, and if it was before, then Yi Lin naturally wouldn't take it too seriously. After all, there are people in any world, and it may be a coincidence that something similar is now. But now, after experiencing the previous time travel, he has a subtle feeling that this is not a coincidence. Because in the illusion of trial, the trial of the seven sins will instinctively reveal what Yen Yelin fears or impresses most, and the time he has come to this world is too short after all, so the trials he has experienced are not most of them are memories of his previous life and used as a template. Even Kagaya, who took the trial with him, actually lived in the illusion of the past life created by his memory. So, did Kagaya tell Sage of Six Paths what she saw in the fantasy, or did Sage of Six Paths inherit some of her memories? When he thought of the possible relationship between Sage of Six Paths and himself, Yi Lingshi couldn't help but feel a little numb. But soon, Yi Lin also realized that this space transmission hub, which is quite similar to the subway station, does have a great effect on the ninja world. With the help of this special transmission network, the entire ninja world can indeed be said to be a piece of iron. From then on, they will not be separated from each other. Unless the Ninja World Ninja Village opens up again in the future, then this transmission network may be abandoned. Afterwards, Yi Lin also carefully sensed the stable space channel and was riding on the strange ring of the sky. Advertisement. The power of all things, similar to the eternal crystal before, is the magic weapon of Sage of Six Paths made like this. He was actually quite curious about the so-called magic tools of Sage of Six Paths, but now he understood the principle after sensing it. After all, in essence, Grass Ninja Village is actually a force that belongs to him. Because Yi Li Hao Lin checked it and found out that this transmission network made the ninja world almost a Titong, but at the same time, it could also be used by him. And this kind of extremely exclusive transmission network, for Yi Lin, maybe it can be used quite well at some point. But obviously, now is not the time when he can make magic tools with peace of mind. Similar to the eternal crystal, left by Kagaya before, the so-called magic tool of Sage of Six Paths is essentially extracting the essence of some things in the natural world with the help of the power of all things and then attaching it to the tool. Yi Lin murmured in his heart. After knowing the production principle of the magic weapon, he also had a lot of ideas in his heart at this time. Yi Lin asked softly, but Wu Wei was stunned for a moment after hearing the words. Wu Wei, in the Moon Net plan, is there a Lu Nin village in the Kingdom of Rivers? Yes, the first-class ninja village is also within the Moon Net plan, 99. In essence, this thing is actually not too valuable to Yi Lin, and even if he wants to, he can make something similar to a magic weapon. Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. For example, this teleportation network is not bad. That's good. and in his mind, a plan has slowly emerged at this time. After hearing Wu Wei's answer, Yi Lin also nodded thoughtfully. But, although it's useless to me, but to the puppet, it doesn't seem to be useless. Chapter 209 The First Chunin Exam After the Great Unification. Still leaves. Since the end of the Five Shadows talks and the implementation of the Moon Net plan was confirmed, the other four shadows and other elites of the ninja village have naturally left Konoha. But even though things have been over for 3 months, Namikaze Minato is still busy. After all, as Hokage, he really doesn't have too many things on his hands. Similar to the exploration of the surrounding environment after the previous battle, Namikaze Minato needs to make a decision for the advanced preparation of the entire Ninja World Defense Network and the comprehensive reading of the various ninja villages in all aspects. But after all, he has been a Hokage for so long, so Namikaze Minato is already used to this busy thing. And compared to before, he now feels much less pressure when dealing with things. The reason is also very simple, because now the ninja world has its own 6 Paths level combat power. Naruto Otsutsugi's father and son, who were entrusted by Sage of 6 Paths to help the ninja world, had settled in the Ninja World Association and looked after the safety of the Moon Net. And once the Akatsuki organization or other 6 Paths level powerhouses attack again, Naruto Otsutsugi can go to any shinobi village to support him at any time. Taking into account the words of Sage of 6 Paths behind Naruto Otsutsugi, the pressure on the entire ninja world, which was almost out of breath before, on the high-end combat power, has obviously eased a lot at this time. In addition, the stabilization of the situation within the entire shinobi village also made Namikaze Minato less stressed. Originally inside the village, due to the continuous major events in the ninja world in the past year or so, the entire village has presented a very unstable situation. The commoners are panicked, and some of the wealthy families in the village, especially the Uchiha clan, are extremely uneasy. Stable. However, with the unification of the entire ninja world, a lot of information about those hidden forces cannot be concealed. After all, the entire ninja world has been in opposition to each other for a long time in the past, and the civilians are also opposed to each other. How many misunderstandings exist? And now that the entire ninja world is almost integrated due to the space portal of the Moon Net, the upper levels of the ninja world will naturally begin to intentionally inform the commoners of the existence of forces such as Jingling and world government. After learning about the terrifying and powerful nature of these hidden forces, all the civilians of Shinobi Village naturally stabilize while accepting these new world views. It's like a natural disaster. If it's just a medium-sized earthquake that happens from time to time in one place, then the local people must be panicked and complained, and maybe they will leave the place. Advertisement. But if the disaster that occurs is the end of the world that is happening everywhere in the world, then the people will not have any complaints, but will do their best to help themselves. After all, no matter where you go, you're dead. As for the Uchiha clan inside the village, it was due to Otsutsugi's 2 consecutive attacks that suffered heavy losses, and the hatred for the village was completely transferred to the enemy Otsutsugi with these 2 attacks. Even for the other Konoha ninjas who rescued them twice, the arrogant Uchiha clan is rare to let go of their arrogance. They also know that after the tragic death of Uchiha Fugaku, the entire Uchiha clan suffered heavy losses due to 2 attacks, the plan of their betrayal. The plan is basically impossible. Therefore, the entire Konoha village is in the worst state since the establishment of the village. This fact naturally makes Namikaze Minato feel that he has endless energy to work. Of course, the one thing that really made him happiest was his son Naruto. In the previous battle, although every part of the whole incident, from the beginning to the end, was out of Konoha's control, the final result was very good. Sina was not attacked, but went smoothly. AGCG gave birth to son Uzumaki Naruto. In the recent incident, this little guy has almost become Akatsuki Namikaze Minato's biggest comfort in his busy work. Every time he came home from the office and saw his son, Namikaze Minato made up his mind to protect his wife and son no matter what. Lord Hokage. But it was also at this time that Nara Shikahisa also walked into the office. 3rd generation purpose funeral and planning for the Chunin exam have been completed. 99. He was holding a stack of documents with considerable thickness in his hands. Quote. I know. Looking at the thick stack of documents, Namikaze Minato's expression became serious. Yes, he has a lot to deal with these days, that's right. After all, things like Shinobu's questioning are inherently subtle and need to be boring. Advertisement, since Chunin, in a sense, is actually equivalent to the combat power. It can be said that the number of Chunin actually represents the strength and potential of a ninja village in a certain sense. Therefore, the Chunin exams have always been regarded as important things for the major ninja villages to observe each other's strength. Especially this time, it is the first Chunin exam after the unification of the entire ninja world, and its significance is even more significant. Genin is too weak. Most of them are children who have just graduated from the ninja school. It can be said that they are the flower bones of the village, and it takes a long time for Ji to develop his potential. But Chunin is different. A Chunin already has quite good combat power, is the backbone sent by Shinobi Village during the war, and is also the mass base for promotion to Jonin. But the most important of them are the 2 things that Nara Shikahisa said at this time. And Hokage's death, of course, is to be engraved on the consolation tablet of Konoha and hold a funeral. This third Hokage died due to the rhythm of Otsutsugi Wangchen, and even his body was taken by Otsutsugi Wangchen after his death. Because the training of Jonin is too difficult and requires combat experience in multiple missions, it is an elite combat force in any ninja village. Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Now that the entire ninja world is gradually stepping into an integrated stall, Third Hokage's funeral naturally needs to invite other shadows to participate. This is a very important diplomatic ceremony, which can be said to be a symbol of the unification of the ninja world. The first is the death of Third Hokage Sarutobi Hiizaki. You must know that although Chunin does not seem to have much regional police with the trash fish in the current 6 Paths level ninja world, but in the major ninja inner villages, this is not the case. The two things that Nara Shikahisa said were also the first collective things after the initial unification of the entire ninja world. Besides the funeral of Third Hokage, the second important symbol is the Chunin exam. Chapter 210 Yi Lin is coming, and his feelings are haunting. Konoha, the location of the Moon Web Portal, is located in the southern part of the village. At this time, a large number of ninjas from various ninja villages are gradually walking through the space channel to inquire. Most of these ninjas are a middle-aged man with a few young ninjas, and it can be seen at a glance that they are here to take the Chunin exam. Hello, we are Konoha in charge of security inspection, please lie down and show your identity, ninja. At this time, the two Konoha ninjas who were in charge of Weichung's space passage were also blocking several ninjas who had just walked out of the space passage. These ninjas are all wearing grass ninja costumes and forehead guards without exception, but the ninja they led is not middle-aged like other ninjas, but a rather young, Jonin. And this too young leading ninja naturally attracted the attention of the two ninjas in charge of security checks, Konoha. Okay. After hearing the words of the two security guards in Konoha, the young Jonin of Kusanagi village who arrived also nodded, and then took out a few signs from his arms. I am Jonin Wugo from Kusanagi village. These three are the ninjas from Kusanagi village who came to take the exam this time, Lin Yi, Lei Ming and Yuan Yue. As he spoke, he also pointed to the three young people behind him. The two security guards in Konoha turned their heads and saw that the three young police officers were an ordinary-looking black-haired youth, a tall adult man with a hat, and a rather beautiful black-haired man, hair girl. But there is no doubt that these three young people are not known to the two Konoha ninjas. However, they are not surprised that the Grass Ninja Village is not a strong ninja village, and it is not surprising that they do not know these ninjas. Huh? Is it Your Excellency Wugo from Kusanagi village? As Wugo, the son of Wu-wei, the leader of Kusanagi village, and a famous Tenji ninja in Kusanagi village, the two Konoha ninjas also showed clear expressions after reporting to the door. Therefore, after they briefly glanced at the identity ninja card, they also directly nodded and let go. The area where your Grass Ninja Village lives is over there, you can see it when you walk down this street. Advertisement, okay. So with the release of the two security inspectors in Konoha, Wugo and the three behind him also walked along the road towards Konoha. But after walking away, Wugo's expression of the original leader instantly calmed down. Sir, let's go next. His voice dropped, and at the same time he seemed rather humble. Go to the place first. After hearing Wugo's question, the black-haired youth standing behind him also spoke flatly. Needless to say, this black-haired young man called Lin Yi is naturally Yi Lin. For him, the launch of the Moon Net project is naturally a great good thing. As the actual controller of the Grass Ninja Village, there are countless ways to add an inquisitorial identity to himself. With this identity, he doesn't even need to activate his abilities like in the past, he can easily enter Konoha directly. And with the ability of fantasy, he can change the appearance of himself or the puppet at will. Just need to, fantasy, on the outside of the body, cutting a new set of faces can easily do this. But this time, he didn't come to Konoha to destroy it. He chose to come to Konoha at this time for two reasons. First, there are naturally some feelings. As a traveler, the Chunin exam in the Hokage world is undoubtedly a very emotional plot, and Yi Lin naturally wants to participate in the test. And as far as he knows, although this exam is nominally the Chunin exam, since this is the first exam after the unification of the ninja world, in fact, the exam quota even includes some TNG directly from Genin. A test for promotion to Jonin. After all, after the unification of the ninja world, the major ninja villages do not need to be too afraid of each other. On the contrary, it is in terms of resources due to the unification of the ninja world, many ninja villages have essentially become one, and the resources of the small ninja village and the big ninja village will inevitably change. Advertisement previously, the great ninja village had almost occupied more than 80% of the powerhouses and resources in the entire ninja world. Even ordinary ninjas in the great ninja village were likely to break through to Chunin or even Jonin through the accumulation of a large number of ninjutsu secrets or resources. 0. For flowers. But now, after the unification, resources will inevitably be tilted. Small ninja village and medium ninja village will inevitably gain more cultivation resources due to the unification, while Da ninja village needs to show more potential of its young blood if it wants to protect its original strength. And this Chunin exam is, in a sense, an opportunity to demonstrate this soft power. At least as far as Yi Lin knows, several Tengu ninjas in Konoha such as Kakashi, Uchiha Shisui, and Uchiha Itachi will take this exam. And Yi Lin came here, in fact, to join in the fun. As for the second reason, it was the key reason why he came here. Then, you go to find out the regulations of the Chunin exam and the residences of other ninja villages, especially which group of ninjas in the ninja villages are divided into, and let me know after you figure it out. Yes. 93. After softly issuing the order to Wugo, Yilin's eyes were also sharp. If he guessed correctly, Otsutsugi Wangchen's next target must be the sealed Otsutsugi Buddha in Tangnan village. But at the same time, it is impossible for Otsutsugi Huangquan to be really diligent. After going through the previous events, this Otsutsugi who managed to break through the seal must be very cautious. Therefore, Yilin guessed that Otsutsugi Wangchen would probably learn a method similar to that in Obito's original work, and secretly nibble at Tang Ninja Village while observing the situation in the ninja world. And in this case, he naturally wanted to see if this ninja village had been eroded by Akatsuki. If there is something unusual about the ninjas who came to Ninja Village this time, it undoubtedly means that Otsutsuki Wangquan has moved his wrists. If there is no abnormality, then Yi will simply bury a few nails in Tangren Village to facilitate future actions. If the trace of that guy can really be found, then the plan can start directly. Chapter 211 The Secret of Tangnin Village. Soon, with the gathering of young ninjas from various ninja villages, the time for the Chunin exam has already arrived. This exam is divided into 3 stages. The first stage is the ninjutsu assessment. Candidates will accept the ninjutsu and intelligence gathering abilities based on the Jonin test from different ninja villages in batches. Those who pass will enter the second stage. This time, Chunin did not test his intelligence gathering ability like he did in the original book, but entered the critical stage of actual combat right after he came up. And because the Chunin exam itself has the special significance of the first exam after the unification of the ninja world, it can be seen from the setting of the exam that Jonin from other ninja villages is the examiner, which is in the previous Chunin. It is undoubtedly invisible in the 453 exam. And as the Iron Country elite Jonin, Abe Nakama, from the Ninja World Association said this, the management of the exam was immediately returned to Konoha. Let's start. And with Namikaze Minato's order, the first stage of the exam began naturally. But it's worth mentioning that the first stage of the exam is to test the ability of ninjutsu and intelligence gathering. I will not use ninjutsu above B rank and Zerira who surpasses Chunin, and you need to grab this scroll from me, even if you pass .59. Tang Nin Village Jonin, who was wearing a Tang Nin Village forehead guard, looked at the 3 people in front of him, and was also holding a scroll that symbolized passing the exam. However, he was not too serious in his heart, because although the ninjas of the major ninja villages would be assigned to ninjas from other ninja villages on the bright side, in fact, there were obviously still district police. For example, the ninjas participating in Konoha include Hitaki Kakashi, Uchiha Itachi and Uchiha Shisui, the 3 famous Tenji ninjas. It's just that because this exam is related to the skewed allocation of resources in the ninja world, these 3 days of entanglement were specially towed to retake this exam. And similar to this kind of Tenji ninja, Konoha will naturally not let Jonin of small and medium-sized ninja villages meet them due to the disparity in the strength of the villages. Jonin of these medium-sized or small ninja villages may not be as good as Konoha's Jonin. Therefore, there is actually a hidden rule in this exam, that is, the candidates assigned by Jonin from small and medium-sized ninja villages are generally candidates from small and medium-sized ninja villages, while candidates from 5 major ninja villages will be from 5 major ninja villages. Jonin is responsible for auditing, and this Tang Ninja Village Jonin is assigned to the ninja of the Grass Ninja Village, so he is naturally not too hardy. The Grass Ninja Village itself does not have any too powerful Tenji ninja. The only Tenji ninja Wugo also came here as Jonin this time. Advertisement. But just as he looked at the 3 genins of Kusanagi Village and was about to announce the start of the exam. Buzz. The next moment, he was shocked when he saw the eyes of the black-haired girl in the genin of Grass Ninja Village. At this moment, strange lines appeared slowly. And with the appearance of the strange lines, the Jonin from Tang Nin Village instantly felt as if he was being dragged into the Uzumaki, and his expression instantly became sluggish. And in his eyes, the pattern of reincarnation eyes soon appeared. I ask, you answer. Looking at the easily manipulated Jonin of Tang Nin Village in front of him, Yilin was naturally not surprised. With the power of the primordial puppet Samsara Eye, it was naturally easy to control a mere Jonin. Yes, your name. Ishida Gansake, Jonin of Tang Nin Village. Why are you here? Take the Chunin exam and complete the investigation ordered by the leader, 99. But Yilin didn't expect that. Just for the second question, Ishida Kansuki actually gave him an answer that interested him a lot. Survey? Yes, according to the leader's instructions, investigate the information about the 4 emperors in the Ninja World Association, especially the connection between Konoha and the Ghost Killing Team, and Jiraiya, one of Konoha Sanin. Ishida Kansuki's voice did not fluctuate. Advertisement. So Yilin raised his eyebrows instantly. He knew that Tang Ninja Village, as a small village, was also one of the ninja villages that joined the Ninja World Association, and it had permission to view most of the Ninja World Association's information. But this time, the goal of Tang Nin Village is to put it on the side of drying Konoha, which is very interesting. The information on the 4 emperors is only for Kaido. The purpose of investigating Konoha's relationship with the Ghost Slayer is to investigate the vest of my previous Ghost King. And Jiraiya. I think I want to get Nagato's information from Jiraiya. Yi Lin's heart instantly felt very interesting, because whether it is Kaido, his Ghost King's vest or Nagato, they are all characters that appeared in Konoha's battle not long ago, and at the same time, it is also a few times that Otsutsugi Wangchen encountered after breaking the seal 2.6, the 6 Paths class powerhouse. Is there anything unusual about your leader recently? So Yi Lin, who already had a hunch in his heart, also immediately asked. I rarely see the leader recently, and his orders are always conveyed through Anbu who is beside him. It is said that the leader himself has been practicing some kind of powerful ninjutsu in the Yuno festival. Ishida Gansuke's voice still did not fluctuate too much, but what he said made Yi Lin's heart move. The festival of soup? His voice was a little suspicious. And in his heart, instinctively smelled the taste of doubt from these 4 words, Chapter 212 Might Father and Son. From Ishida Gansuke's mouth, Yi Lin also quickly knew what the soup key is. According to Ishida Kansuki, there is an ancient crevice that has existed since the establishment of Yunnan village, and its existence is even older than the Ji-Ming no-Ji temple in San Shinobi village. The reason for the existence of the sacrificial gong itself can no longer be tested. It is said that there are many ancient and handed-down forbidden books in the sacrificial scene. For a long time, only the leader of the Tang ninja village and the extremely elite ninja can learn it, and its meaning is like Konoha. The sealed book is the same. After having a general understanding of the situation, Yi Lin's heart was already clear. If there is no accident, this so-called soup scene must be as he guessed, and it is inseparable from the sealed Otsutsugi clan, Otsutsugi Buddha. And if Yi Lin didn't guess wrong, the leader of the country of Tang, who had been treacherous recently, had a high probability that Otsutsugi Huangquan had done something in secret. In all likelihood, its people have been manipulated like the previous Yugura, and may even have been replaced. But on the other hand, if Yi Lin's 06 guess is correct, then the current situation can undoubtedly explain a lot of problems. If Otsutsugi Wangchen has successfully infiltrated or even controlled the land of soup secretly, then he has a complete opportunity to directly lift the seal of Otsutsugi Buddha in private. This was originally what Yi Lin was most worried about. After all, his previous time travel took a lot of time, 3 months. But now it appears that is clearly not the case. There must be a reason for him to send ninjas from Yuno country to Konoha to investigate information. 99. And this reason, in fact, is not difficult to guess. When he lifts the seal, he should consume a lot of his Zarera and time, and there should be a lot of movement. Maybe he will fall into a weak state because of the seal, otherwise he will never be so cautious. And this guy has been taught a lesson in the previous battle, so now I dare not lift the seal directly, but first collect information on the current ninja world and those 6 paths level powerhouses. Advertisement. This guess is obviously very reasonable no matter from which point of view. The seal of rhyme that Kagaya spent so much effort to create, even after so many years, it must not be so easy to lift. And after having such a guess, Yi Lin's heart naturally moved. Because if the facts are as he guessed, then it is undoubtedly the most intentional for him. Exactly, the Chunin exam is a good medium. Otsutsuki Wangchen, the news you want, I will give you soon. After 2 hours. Call. On a square on the edge of Konoha, many genins from various ninja villages also had different expressions at this time. Among them, the genins who successfully grabbed the scrolls from their own examiners and passed the first stage of the exam were naturally bright and excited. You must know that the examiners in this exam are almost all jonin, who are in charge of the major ninja villages. Compared with genin, they are of course the police of Tianyuan. Although they will definitely suppress their power during the test, but being able to snatch the scroll from Jonin's hand is undoubtedly quite enough. But it is precisely because of this difficulty that in fact, there are a large number of genins who failed to pass the first stage of the test. At this time, the genins who were dropped in the first round also naturally lost their expressions. And when Yi Lin and the other 3 came to the examination room, the Tang Nin village named Ishida Gansuke seemed to have returned to normal. As for Yi Lin and the 3, Thundering, and Yuanyue, beside him, they also seem to have a lot of scars on their bodies, but they are holding scrolls in their hands, making a pair of, how about you, easy to wrap through the test look. As for the faces of the 2, one of them can be said to be extremely rhythmic in the entire arena. Advertisement. Not only them, but even the Jonins who were hosting some of the work at the scene at this time Konoha couldn't help but show their speechless expressions. I saw that the 2 of them were wearing dark green tights that looked like a remnant, and at this time, the 2 of them were doing push-ups on the ground for no reason. Seeing the hot-blooded father and son, some small and medium-sized ninjas in the ninja village who had never heard of such a scene couldn't help but muttered. La la la, Dad. And like this uncle who is doing push-ups, he seems to know that he is over 40 years old. Looking at the entire examination room, he really can't find a second one. Without him, it's just because the 2's dresses are really eye-catching. However, although this Kun has been defeated many times, he has been defeated and fought repeatedly. He has been taking the test with his son until now. 99. Of course, in addition to him, there were other ninjas from small and medium-sized ninja villages who were also paying attention to these 2. Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Konoha, there are some weird people out there. After all, although 453 of the ninjas who came to take the Chunin exam are indeed from all the ninja villages in the ninja world, and the number is very large, they are generally young in age. Yi Linming looked tired enough on the face, but in fact he was still thinking about it in his heart. Especially in terms of his words, the boy next to him doing push-ups with him is actually his son. They naturally know that this hot-blooded fool, father and son, father might die as the 10,000 years genin in the village. He has been taking exams for many years and failed to pass the test of Chunin. All kinds of ninjutsu are almost in a mess, only one physical technique is considered. You can get it, but it's not top-notch. But just as he was thinking about it, he quickly noticed the two ninjas in the arena. Guy. The blood of youth will not cool down like this, we have to pass the exam and bypass it. Chapter 213 The Origin of 8 Inner Gates Formation. While the surrounding ninjas were looking at the father and son with extremely strange eyes, Yi Lin's eyes were quite cautious. Although in the eyes of almost everyone, the father and son's presence in comedy is higher than their own presence as ninjas, Yi Lin knows that is not the case. Because this father and son duo can be said to be one of the few ninjas who are still interested in the ninja world. You must know that in terms of Yi Lin's current strength, there are not many ninjas in the entire ninja world that can interest him except Sage of Six Paths, the ancestor of the ninja world. Even if Uchiha Madara or the Tenkan Hashirama is resurrected, Yi Lin has to deal with them very lightly. Especially the ninjutsu in the ninja world, there are very few that are valuable to Yi Lin. After all, at the Six Paths level, most of the ninjutsu has no effect on him and he can release any ninjutsu or absorb any ninjutsu at will. However, in this father and son, there is one of the few techniques that Yi Lin is interested in now in the ninja world. Might wears 8 Inner Gates Formation. Yi Lin knew very well that Might was wearing the 8 Inner Gates Formation, the famous ultimate physique, on the body of this unremarkable ninja. The 8 Inner Gates Formation is the power that completely liberates all the potentials of the body after opening the 8 gates in the human body, namely, the door of opening, the door of closing, the door of life, the door of wounding, the door of Duman, the door of Jing, the door of shock, and the door of death. After completely liberating the 8 gate, the practitioner can even have dozens or even hundreds of times the power of normal. And this power is not ninjutsu, but taijutsu. Even for 6 paths level powerhouses, taijutsu itself is a power that has a killing effect. Especially for Yi Lin, most of his strength comes from the two abilities of Tensagen's chakra mode and fantasy materialization. Reinforcement is not small. Advertisement in Yi Lin has actually been thinking about whether his puppets can also use 8 Inner Gates Formation. If he can use it, then the side effect of people dying after the 8 inner gates are fully opened does not exist for him. The strength of the puppet can be greatly enhanced again. So in fact, after a little achievement in strength, Yi Lin has already inquired about the details of the 8 Inner Gates Formation. After all, the phrase, 8 Inner Gates as the day after Queen Guy, is in his heart. The impression is very deep. In the original book, Guy, who was originally Elite Jonin, used the power of 8 Inner Gates, but he really almost killed 6 Paths Madara with one kick. You know, 6 Paths Madara who absorbed 10 tails was in Yi Lin's judgment, not even weak among the 6 Paths level powerhouses. It can also be seen that the strength of this ultimate body technique can be said to be appalling. After careful research, Yi Lin found it quite interesting because there was no information about 8 Inner Gates Formation in the internal documents of Grass Ninja Village. But Yi Lin can be sure that this ninjutsu is not an absolute secret, because at least Uchiha Madara clearly knows this ninjutsu in the original book. Then the result is also obvious. This ninjutsu seems to be a ninjutsu that belongs to Konoha alone. At least there is no record of this technique in the outside ninjutsu village like Kusanagi village. But the crux of the question is, where did Konoha get this secret technique? This is clearly a question worth pondering. Because there are not many secret techniques that can really change the ninja world inside Konoha, and most of them come from the stunning second Hokage, like reincarnation of Rice, the technique of flying thunder god. These powerful ninjutsu are all created by second Hokage. Founded by Hokage, he can be regarded as the one who laid the foundation for Konoha's ninjutsu heritage. The 3 lands have been intertwined with Konoha since ancient times, and Mount Myoboku has been passed down from generation to generation in Konoha. The possibility that this ninjutsu is derived from the 3 lands is naturally not small. Only Yi Lin's heart moved after hearing the content of the exam, and his eyes became interested as soon as he signed it. But it was at this time. In the second stage of the actual combat test, the candidates entered the test site, Li Hao, in groups of 3, and those who walked out of the forest successfully passed the test, 99. Advertisement, and everyone looked at the forest not far away, and they understood why they were called here after the first stage of the test. This technique either has another origin, or it is the ninjutsu of one of the 3 immortal lands. Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. But second Hokage himself is not good at taijutsu, let alone 8 Inner Gates Formation. Even heard of Madara, apparently ninjutsu, who had flowed into Konoha earlier. Then, the result is obvious. As he spoke, he also raised his hand and pointed lightly towards the back. Then there's no need to wait, this time the stage is here. Forest words. However, what this elite Jonin said undoubtedly made their hearts a little dignified. Even if they could walk out of the forest and pass the exam, it would undoubtedly mean that there must be a considerable test hidden in the forest. This is Yi Lin's judgment. Congratulations to all of you who passed the first stage of the exam, and the next stage is the second stage. Just listen to one Konoha's elite Jonin said before walking up to the stage. Of course, where this ninjutsu comes from has nothing to do with Yi Lin, because it doesn't matter where he comes from if he can use it. So at this time, Yi Lin also took another look at the might father and son who were still burning youth, and secretly calculated in his heart. Chapter 214 Spider Mountain reappears. With the beginning of the second stage of the Chunin exam, many ninjas also entered the Dusk Forest as the exam location. In fact, this forest was not originally called this name. This forest was actually even bigger before. However, due to several attacks on Konoha before, even the surrounding natural environment has naturally changed. The original whole forest was also changed due to the attack, and it was directly divided into parts, and the Dusk Forest was also the smaller part. At this time, in the forest, there are also many examination gates specially set by Konoha. Remember, you don't need to worry about it for a while, except for some secret techniques or those with too much lethality. Other genjutsu can be used at will. You need to rate them based on how fast and how they crack genjutsu. In the forest at this time, Konoha elite Jonin Yuhi Mahone was instructing the Jonins who were in charge of the test in front of him. He himself is the very famous Genjutsu Ninja 453 among Konoha, and his accomplishments on Genjutsu are even higher than those of the Uchiha family with a plug-in like Sharingan. In the second stage of this Chunin exam, Konoha prepared 4 tests of illusion, body, forbearance, and perception, and after passing the 4 tests, he was able to successfully walk out of the Twilight Forest. And Yuhi Mako is also the main arranger of the Genjutsu test. Yes. And the group of Jonin in front of them are also relatively accomplished ninjas on Genjutsu, so it is natural to hear the words at this time. 6 inches Yuhi Zhenheng nodded after seeing this, but just when he was about to make a promise. Buzz. Advertisement strange sounds and inexplicable spatial fluctuations suddenly appeared around. Although Yuhi Mahone himself is a Genjutsu fan ninja who mainly attacks Genjutsu, but as an elite Jonin, it is naturally impossible for him to say that he knows nothing about ninjutsu in time and space, at least the basic time and space, AGCG, of Shunshu. Ninjutsu, Yuhi Mahone is still one of the masters. So at this time, he also immediately felt this strange spatial fluctuation. But before he could react, the surrounding scene changed dramatically in front of him. I saw that the sun that originally hung high in the sky disappeared in an instant, and was replaced by a night sky with sparse moon and stars. The night seemed to have fallen in an instant, and the surrounding environment began to undergo strange changes as if it was a picture scroll dyed black. The trees seem to become twisted and weird as the night falls, especially the huge spider web that appears from time to time on the trees looks extremely weird. Yuhi Mahone instinctively thought that she had been hit by Genjutsu. After all, the situation where Lang Lang's book was turned into night in an instant didn't seem normal. But after just a moment, as a Genjutsu master, he also realized that he was not a Genjutsu. Otherwise, even if he did not know the crack, he would definitely not be aware of it. And if it is Genjutsu, it is impossible to simulate everything around it so real. Whether it was the angle of the moonlight, the swaying arc of the leaves, the smell of the soil in the air, and the strange and disturbing aura, he understood that all this seemed to be true. Sir True read, Don't be impatient, send a letter to Lord 4th Generation first. Seeing the subordinates who became a little flustered in an instant, Zhenheng also gently waved his hand to signal the subordinates not to act rashly. Even he doesn't know what the situation is, but he can still remain calm at this time. Advertisements of the subordinate ninjas also naturally took the lead, and then began to try to contact Namikaze Minato. They were the ninjas responsible for setting the test in the Dusk Forest. The main thing is that when an accident occurs, the news can be sent back to the village as soon as possible. But soon, the subordinate's expression became flustered immediately after the attempt. Sir True read, the mark of the Flying Thunder God, it doesn't work. After he activated the Flying Thunder God mark with Chara, he found that the Flying Thunder God kunai still did not disappear from his hand, which undoubtedly showed that the Flying Thunder God mark was invalid. It doesn't work. After hearing the subordinate's return, Yuhi Zhenheng's complexion became more and more solemn. Especially in his heart, there was a hint of coolness. Without him, because what happened now made him involuntarily think of the information he had heard before. It was not a secret in Konoha's elite Jonin, and Namikaze Minato didn't intentionally hide it. It was just that when the incident happened, Yuhi Mahone, who was a village ninja, was out on a mission and did not participate. But although he did not participate, he naturally heard about the intelligence after returning to the village. That place called Nada Spider Mountain, and the conspiracy about Hueco Mundo, and the King of Demons that first exposed the hook in Nada Spider Mountain. And if he remembered correctly, the information recorded in the information he obtained was almost the same as it is now. Whether it is the surrounding scene, the situation where the spider webs are all over the place, or the situation where the Flying Thunder God fails, they are almost all in the same line. If there are 2 things that do not match the information, one of them is that there are no corpses on the surrounding cobwebs. Second, it is said that the Nashin Spider Mountain, which was said to have been destroyed by the King of Ghosts, has reappeared. The Ghost Clan, what conspiracy is there? With such doubts in mind, Yuhi Zhenheng's expression became solemn. Chapter 215 Enel reappears when the mutation occurred in the Dusk Forest. Many genins who entered the forest were obviously unaware. At this time, they were patrolling the forest in groups of 3. Before entering the forest, no one told them about the test in the forest, but they also knew that Konoha must have set a test in this forest. So at this time, many ninjas are naturally extremely careful when walking. While being cautious, many teams naturally began to gather in the way of Ninja Village. Kakashi, my nemesis Meow, in the name of this exam, let's fight for the victory of youth. Most of the ninjas of the Ninja Village gathered to discuss countermeasures, but Konoha was the only exception. Konoha has sent a lot of ninja teams, and at this time Might Guy, his father Might Dai and another teammate named Karen Jaw, have also interviewed another group of Konoha's team at this time. The other team that meets them is very complicated. Its 3 members are Uchiha Itachi and Uchiha Shisui, and Hitaki Kakashi. And these 3 Konoha's Tianjin, of course, will not be in the same team when they are actually performing tasks as ninjas. At this time, the reason why they appeared in the same team was naturally that Konoha, who was specially formed for this exam, was the host of the Chunin exam. Of course, an elite team was needed to guarantee the ranking to add to the sponsor. Point, face. Facing the invitation to win or lose from Guy, who claims to be his old enemy, Kakashi gave him a deadly look. You can pass the exam first. Although the words were arrogant, they did not conceal the closeness and recognition to Guy. Of course, if this is Kakashi from a year ago, then as Konoha's top Tenji ninja, of course he is disdainful of such a white ninja as Guy. But after a year, the current Kakashi is no longer the same as before. Advertisement he has seen too many things with his own eyes, whether it is Obito, who is still in the hands of Akatsuki and has not been rescued, and is still being manipulated, or the almost unstoppable things that the ninja world has encountered so many times. Crisis. All of this has accelerated the transformation of this Tianjo, precisely because he has felt the existence of countless unbelievable powerhouses, and has experienced so many crises. His desire for strength and his sense of belonging to the village are also extremely high. Strong police. In fact, Kakashi's situation is exactly the mentality of most ninjas in the entire ninja world now. After various hidden forces jumped on stage to perform in turn, although the ninja world is now at a critical juncture in terms of the situation, it is indeed the best time in history in terms of cohesion. After losing Obito as a friend, he naturally paid more attention to Guy's friend Kakashi. La la la, did you finally accept my challenge, Kakashi? And Guy was heartbroken when he heard Kakashi's half-ignoring, half-helpless words. Just a hot-blooded idiot, not a challenge. Whoever loses will invite the other party to eat ramen. 99. HMPH, of course I don't mind if you are willing to spend money. 99. It is worth mentioning that, perhaps because the body is in a period of rapid growth, at this time Uchiha Itachi and Uchiha Shisui are only less than a year apart from when Yilin met before, but their height it shows up a lot. And the two of them naturally did not have the arrogance of the Uchiha clan, of course. In fact, after Yilin's 2 rectification attacks, the Uchiha clan had already restrained their arrogance a lot. At this time, seeing that Kakashi and Guy actually started to quarrel about this, the two of them and Might Dai and others who were watching on the side also laughed. They didn't stop Guy and Kakashi's bickering as cautiously as other teams. After all, with their strength, even a head-on battle is not worth it Jonin or even a SWAT Jonin, so the whole atmosphere became happy at this time. Stand up. 0. For flowers. But it was also when the atmosphere became a little cheerful for a while. Advertisement, oh. It's you, kid. Suddenly the voice from above seemed to have a hint of surprise and disdain. The people below also raised their heads in surprise when they heard the voice at this time. Among them, Might Dai, Might Guy and their teammate Lu Ren Jiayi were surprised at this time. This is the first reaction of normal people. The expressions of Uchiha Itachi and Uchiha Shisui were horror and disbelief. Because with the strength of the two of them, they didn't feel the existence of anyone around them before. Even until the other party spoke at this time, their subconscious induction that belonged to the ninjas still did not take effect. As for the last Kakashi, his expression was a hint of fear and horror, even fear. He raised his head and then directly saw the figure above. It was a man with long earlobes and a thunder drum on his back. And this figure is an unforgettable figure for Kakashi because the other party is the one who made him realize the gap, for the first time in the true sense, and completely shattered his pride as a sky. He, who had just become a Jonin at that time, attacked the opponent with his most proud self-created ninjutsu Reikiri at that time, and was easily killed by the opponent, which he will never forget. Although compared to the legendary 6 Paths level powerhouses that appeared later, the opponent's strength may not be so shocking now, but Kakashi still has the deepest impression on him. It's you, Enel. He gritted his teeth and whispered the man's name. Chapter 216 Interesting News, Enel. The expressions of Uchiha Itachi and Uchiha Shisui naturally changed after Kakashi said the name of each other. Although the two of them have not met with their own eyes, they have naturally heard of Enel's name and information. Especially with Enel's iconic appearance, they were instantly sure that Kakashi's judgment was right. Therefore, their expressions became solemn in an instant. Because there is no doubt that Enel is definitely not a kind existence to Konoha. The 7 warlords of the sea to which it belongs has long been identified as a subordinate organization of the world government, and Otsutsugi Yi of the world government can be said to be Konoha's absolute enemy. In other words, the other party is not good. At the same time, you, 453, Uchiha Itachi and Uchiha Shisui also know the strength of Enel. Although this Shichibukai has not appeared in the ninja world for a while, but judging from the opponent's magnificent record in the past, there is no doubt that the opponent is not weak even among the cage-level powerhouses. Although cage-level powerhouses are not surprising enough in the current ninja world, their existence itself is still difficult to deal with. After all, for a long time before the concept of 6 paths level was introduced, cage level the strong symbolizes the pinnacle of the ninja world. It's just right, kid, I have something to go into your village, but there are quite a few barriers around your village recently, please show me the way. It was at this time that Enel looked at Liu Kakashi indifferently. Of course, this is not surprising in itself. After all, among the Konoha ninjas present, only Kakashi has actually seen Enel or even played against him. As for Uchiha Shisui and Uchiha Itachi, I have only heard of his name. But there is no doubt that Enel's words also made the hearts of the Konoha ninjas below heavier. Recently, there is an enchantment around the village, which is a matter of course. After all, after so many incidents, all the small and large ninja villages take the defense of the village very seriously. Especially Konoha, who was attacked twice from the front, and there were even a large number of 6 paths level powerhouses hooked up not long ago. He has made great efforts in this regard, and he has also set up a considerable number of defensive knots outside the village. World, managed directly by Hokage, and because this Chunin exam is different from the previous one, there is considerable significance. Advertisement. So in order to avoid someone making trouble or accidents, Namikaze Minato naturally chose to activate the defensive barrier outside the village. This guy wants to enter the village, is he going to destroy it again? So after hearing what Enel said, several people naturally acquiesced that Enel had another plot to attack Konoha. Dream. In particular, Kakashi, who was already afraid of Enel, even snorted coldly, then pulled out the ninja sword behind him and charged towards Enel. Rough bird stream break. I saw thunder bursting from his body, and countless electric currents swept through the Chunin knife in his hand, and he rushed to the front of Enel in a moment. Looking at Kakashi's lightning-like speed in that instant, Enel's expression didn't change. Afterwards, there was a hint of mockery on the corner of his mouth. Why don't you learn your lesson? As he spoke, Enel was also reaching for the fisherman. And at the same time as his hand stretched out diligently, the endless electric light also shone from his hand. There's no point in using mine against me. As he said that, the rough bird flow that erupted on Kakashi disappeared instantly, and Enel's right hand even shot out several lightning bolts and punched Kakashi. Boom. But in the face of his own move being cracked, Kakashi did not show any panic. While moving at a high speed, its body quickly evaded the attack of lightning, and the ninja sword in Kakashi's hand emitted a strange white light without the rough bird stream attached. That is the bizarre scenery that can be produced by condensing the changed Zara on the blade in the form of a film, and the manipulation density and difficulty of Zara is undoubtedly a super difficult forbidden technique above S rank. Previously, only Kakashi's deceased father, Konoha White Fang Hitaki Tsukumo, was able to fight in this way and achieve great fame. His name, White Fang, is also because of this swordsmanship that lights up the blade with chara. Hitaki-style swordsmanship White Fang bite, advertisement. Oh, after seeing this scene, Enel also seemed to be shocked and shouted. Fire style the art of destruction of the flame dragon, 99. However, have you misunderstood? Along with the two voices that suddenly came from behind Enel, the surrounding temperature suddenly became scorching hot. Compared with the last time I saw him, the current Kakashi has undoubtedly completed a qualitative transition. You can even faintly see the shadow of the former cage-level powerhouse Hitaki Tsukumo. And in the eyes of the two at this time, there is also a red 2.63 Tomo Sharingan flashing without exception. Fire style Bafong Yanju, shout, although it's just a native kid in the ninja world. But his strength is really good. And Enel turned his head subconsciously, when even he saw the figures of Uchiha Itachi and Uchiha Shisui had come behind him at some point. At this time, Enel also seemed to be looking at the 3 Tenji ninjas in front of him with a dignified look. Especially in the next moment, just as Enel is preparing to elementalize and dodge Kakashi's blow. Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. But after a while, he turned into lightning again and gathered his body not far away. So as the 3 attacked in unison, Enel's figure was also burned by the flames in an instant, and was split by the ninja sword. Boom. Subsequently, he also seemed to appreciate Kakashi's improved strength. Apparently, this almost instantaneous attack was the result of the tacit understanding between Kakashi and Uchiha. Little devil, your strength has grown quite a lot. Compared to before, it is indeed a lot stronger. I'm not here for a fight, but on the orders of Lord Five Elders to give you some interesting news. Chapter 217 The Essence of 8 Inner Gates Formation. Enel chuckled to express that he wasn't here to fight. But it was clear that none of the 3 young ninjas present would believe him. Not to mention Enel's previous vicious reputation, the hatred between the world government itself and Konoha is very strong, and there is almost no possibility of peaceful talks between the two sides. So at this time, the 3 of them did not mean to relax their vigilance, they just thought that the previous blow had caused damage to Enel, and the other party was just taking this opportunity to delay time. So, they also each held the kunai and rushed again Enel. Humph, stubborn. Forget it, you don't want to lead the way. With so many ninjas in this forest, there will always be someone willing to lead the way. 93. And when Enel saw this, he snorted coldly, and then his hand was gently patted upwards. Thundergun. So from his hands, the shining thundergun slowly condensed and formed in the roar of thunder. A huge destructive force surged in the surrounding air, oxidizing the air and burning the surplus. Then, the thundergun was thrown directly at the three little ninjas in front by Enel's throw. And after seeing this, the three small ones also formed the seals again one after another. Earth-style Earth Stream Wall, Earth-style Earth Barrier. Earth-style Rock Art. The best choice to deal with lightning-style ninjutsu is the kingly way, and although none of the three are the ninjas who are best at Earth-style, but as Konoha's famous three Tenji ninjas, they are naturally the most kingly way of Grandmaster. So at this time, when the three of them raised their hands, they also built three huge earth walls inside and outside the hook. Boom! And the roaring thundergun smashed on the three layers of soil walls, and instantly penetrated all three layers of soil walls. Advertisement, however, after penetrating through the three layers of soil walls, its power and speed were greatly reduced, and even if it was turned slightly by the three of them, it was directly avoided. After seeing this, San Shao didn't have time to be happy when he saw dozens of shining thunderguns appearing beside Enel. So San Shao's expression became stiff in an instant. It can only be said that although the three of them are surrounded by the sky, they are still too young, and they have never had the experience of fighting against cage-level powerhouses before. Although Uchiha Itachi and Uchiha Shisui had fought against Otsutsugi at night, but in fact, it sounds good to be killed by an instant, and they have no real energy at all. So at this time, it was the first time that they really felt the pressure of a cage-level powerhouse like Enel. 100-kill thundergun. However, just as Enel raised his hand slightly, the countless thunderguns in front of him flew like shooting stars. Shocking door, open. With a fierce tiger-like roar, a figure wrapped in blue arrogance also instantly appeared in front of San Shao. I saw that this person was wearing a green tights, and his face looked ordinary, but at this time, his eyes were only white, and his body was red like a steamed crab. Needless to say, it is exactly what Might wears, Bug Tiger. At this moment, this Konoha genin raised his hand and slapped the hundreds of thunderguns in front of him. And with the tick of this palm, the air in front of him also undergoes a huge change with the rhythm of the palm. With the continuous compression of this palm, countless air gathered into one point, and then turned into a tiger-shaped air cannon and shot out suddenly. The shock wave that dissipated spread almost instantly, making it difficult for the three little ones beside him to stand firm for a while. And the huge power even wiped out all the thunderguns in an instant. Dad? Mr. Dai? After seeing this scene, both Guy and San Shao are naturally in a dream. Advertisement guy doesn't need to say more. Although he has a very close relationship with his father, he also knows that his father is a real genin, who has been doing small tasks in the village for so many years to catch cats and dogs. Although Guy wouldn't look down on his father because of this, he naturally didn't expect his father to hide this kind of power. On the other hand, San Shao was even more astonished. They never expected that Might Dai had such strength. The power of this blow. Yi Lin could sense the changes on Might Dai's body. 453 chara on his body was continuously scoured in the body at a flow rate far exceeding the normal speed. And the blue arrogance was the result of the evaporation of sweat and water in his body. Those are 7 invisible switches inside Might's body. At this time, Might Dai, who was bubbling with blue arrogance, was looking at Enel in front of him. But at the same time, Yi Lin, as a 6 paths level powerhouse with the power of the master, was able to faintly perceive the source of the mutation like Shirela on Might's body. Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. It is precisely because of this almost exaggerated purification increase that Might Dai can jump from a genin to an elite jonin in an instant. Door and now they're like acceleration belts, where Might Dai's chara is accelerated and purified every time he passes through those 7 areas. But he didn't know that Yi Lin, who was controlling the Enel puppet at this time, was secretly making judgments in his heart. At this time, Yi Lin was judging the essence of 8 inner gates formation with the help of these 7 invisible switches. Sure enough, the 8 inner gates formation is not as simple as a simple physical technique. 7 switches. Is this the 7 doors in the human body? They can roughly judge the hook. Might's power with this blow has undoubtedly surpassed Jonin and even most elite Jonin. 8 inner gates formation. Guy, take a good look at one. This is the trick that I have finally mastered with my whole life of youthful blood. They are formless and exist in the human body. Sure enough. These switches can't be seen by the naked eye or even the superficial boundary of the blood. Only Yi Lin can sense its existence through the ability of the heart network and the ability to sense the power of all things. Chapter 218 Changed Plan. Purgatory Kashalong. Yi Lin can almost judge Yun. 8 inner gates formation is definitely not as simple as the original ultimate body art. Because although its appearance is based on physical skills, most of the so-called physical skills are only the kung fu of fists and feet or the corresponding moves. But 8 inner gates is different. Although it relies on Taishu, its essence is to obtain powerful power by purifying Zara and accelerating the flow of Zara in the body. And that's why, the 8 inner gates formation can be used differently by different people. Because the stronger the body itself is, the stronger the ninja in the body is, the upper limit that can be endured after opening the door will also increase. For example, Might Dai is a real genin. Although he has acquired a physique far beyond the ordinary genin through long-term training, it has not reached the point of otherworldliness. Especially as he got older, his physical fitness even declined. His physical accomplishments are actually not as good as his son's, at most a level above Chunin and less than Jonin. In other words, with Genin's chara plus the physical strength close to Jonin's, the upper limit of chara that he can endure after opening the 7th gate is the combat power he shows now. But looking back at the future guy, because he is a god of physique, his physique is far superior to elite Jonin, and even most of the cage-level powerhouses can't compare physique with him. And his chakra has reached the level of elite Jonin under normal conditions. After going back and forth, this blue beast of Konoha could even kill the 6 Paths Madara of the 6 Paths level in an almost crushing manner after opening the 8th gate. This is also the essence of 8 inner gates formation, not so much a taijutsu or ninjutsu, it is closer to a secret technique of increasing one's own power. And more importantly, after being purified by the gates of the 8 inner gates formation, his chara's own nature transformation even disappeared. This is also a fact that Yi Lin finds extremely novel. Whether it is samsara or tensai, its power to absorb ninjutsu and chakra is essentially an interpretation of the power of all things. As long as it is water, fire, earth, thunder, wind, yin, and yang, chara can't escape the manipulation of the omnipotent power, so naturally it can't hurt the holder of the Eye of Reincarnation in the Eye of Reincarnation. However, after 8 inner gates has been purified by the gates in the body, Zara, even the nature transformation itself has been erased. What remains is only the purest and original power. Advertisement in this kind of power also made Yi Lin involuntarily think of another similar thing. It's similar to Sage Jutsu Chakra, a bit like that. As the power obtained by the purification of the natural energy generated between heaven and earth, Sage Jutsu Chakra is also something without any nature transformation. The Chala of the 8 inner gates formation purified hook is almost in the same line as the Sage Jutsu Chala in nature. It's just that Sage Jutsu Chara is used to cast Sage Jutsu, and the power condensed by 8 inner gates formation is used to increase the body. After realizing this, Yi Lin became more and more curious about the origin of the 8 inner gates formation. It is precisely because of curiosity in his heart that Yi Lin made a decision in an instant. He decided to change the original plan. I'll stop him. You guys immediately leave the forest and return to the village. Tell Lord Hokage of this guy's existence. At the same time, after Might Dai opened the 7th gate to completely evade Enel's attack, he panted and said to the people behind him. As the ninja of the village, of course he also heard about the existence of Enel. And compared to the young people like Uchiha Shisui and Uchiha Itachi, although Might Dai is only a genin, so many years of ninja career have naturally made him have much more caution than these young people. So he also knows that when guys like Enel appear here, what they have to think about is not how to defeat each other at all, but how to send the news back to the village. But when Kakashi heard Dai's words, he naturally hesitated. A few young ninjas were naturally reluctant to accept Might Dai's proposal. Guy, in particular, was naturally more reluctant to leave his father alone at this time. Listen to me, however, Might Dai changed his usual funny image at this time, showing a very calm and strong performance. In the Dusk Forest, there should have been examiners arranged by the village, and there should be special perception ninjas responsible for observing the situation in the entire forest, so as to avoid accidents for the ninjas taking the Chunin exam. 11. But so far, we haven't seen any signals from the examiners or village ninjas. They should have had an affair. It has to be said that the value of a ninja is determined by how he reacts in an emergency. Advertisement Might Dai, on the other hand, is undoubtedly a questionable ninja. 66. After hearing Might Dai's words, the 4 young ninjas were also stunned, and then they suddenly realized this. Isn't that right? In the second stage of the exam, the village will definitely arrange ninjas in the forest to prevent any accidents, or it will be the subject of the exam itself. But so far, they haven't seen any ninjas in the village. Especially considering that it was Enel, the famous Shichibukai, who came here. Other Shichibukai, maybe even the 5 elders are nearby. 99. Thinking of this, the 4 young ninjas were naturally stunned, realizing that Might Dai's judgment was correct. But just as they were about to return to the village as soon as Might Dai ordered. Hey, how many of you are I talking about, Li Hao? Are you taking me too seriously? 99. Enel sneered. Let's go, who do you think I am? Or, it's just blue steam. You think you can beat me? 13. While saying so, Enel also raised his hand slightly. Lei Ying. Along with his low roar, a huge lightning ball appeared in the sky. And from that huge lightning ball, the terrifying destructive power was overwhelmed almost in an instant. Seeing that this was undoubtedly the terrifying coercion that a cage-level powerhouse could produce with a single blow, Might Dai also looked solemn. Silently, he naturally planned to open the last door and use his life to buy time for the young ninjas behind. But it was also at this time that Zhuang, Breath of Flame, Type of Inferno, Scroll of Sheng Yan. Chapter 219 news that alerted the 3 major forces at the same time. Breath of Flame, Form of Construction, Scroll of Sheng Yan. With such words, Might Dai and the others also saw a red-haired and white-robed figure flickering under the giant lightning ball above the sky. The sun blade in his hand exudes a strange luster against the background of sunlight, and there is an infinite flame surrounding the blade between the dancing, turning into a huge fire Uzumaki and the falling lightning giant ball, collide together. Boom! Between the intersection of thunder and fire, the huge destructive force and shock wave also instantly caused the trees in the twilight forest below to break and fall. And as the shock wave continued to spread, several people also saw that both the huge lightning ball and the vortex of flames were constantly annihilating each other. After the last ray of thunder and fire collided and cancelled each other out, the surrounding scene also became a mess. In front of Might Dai and the others, the red-haired youth in a strange white uniform was standing in front of them with a sword. Breath of Flame. The flame pillar of the ghost-killing team? At the same time, at 453, Enel, who saw that his blow was perfectly defended, did not continue to hook, but instead looked at the red-haired boy in front of him. Different from the arrogance when facing Might Dai and others before, Enel's expression at this time was obviously a little solemn. Yenju, Purgatory Kashalong. I'm sorry, Lord Enel. I fought alongside Konoha's ninjas in the past, but I can't watch and hurt them. Purgatory Xingshulong spoke loudly, and the words were also bright sunshine. Purgatory Kashoru. Originally, Might Dai and the others were still surprised by Fang Ji's unquestionable cage-level confrontation, but at this time they were even more surprised when they heard the conversation between Enel and Purgatory Kyojuro. Because there is no doubt that the name Purgatory Kyojuro is not unfamiliar to Konoha ninja. After all, as the news of the ghost-killing team is known to the ninja world, the ninja village with the best relationship with the ghost-killing team in the entire ninja world is Konoha. In fact, so far, Konoha is also the only one officially with the ghost-killing team. The ninja village that has crossed and even intercropped. Advertisement. The name of Purgatory Kyojuro was circulated in Konoha. The flame pillar of the ghost-killing team, along with the 4th generation and the 3rd generation, wiped out Nada Spider Mountain, one of the ghost's lair. Although most Konoha ninjas have never seen the flame pillar of the ghost-killing team, it does not prevent them from having a friendly sense of it. Sure enough, it is Yenju, exactly the same as the rumored appearance. After learning about the situation, they also immediately linked each other's appearance with the rumored Yenju, and then found that they were indeed right, and naturally they no longer doubted the identity of Purgatory Kashalong. But at the same time, their hearts could not help but feel awe-inspiring. The 7 warlords of the sea and the Demon Slayer, 2 of the hidden forces actually sent personnel to the vicinity of Konoha. Now that things have developed like this, they naturally understand that they seem to have encountered a major event involving the entire ninja world. If only Enel appeared near Konoha, then there might be some conspiracy. But now, the Purgatory Kyojuro of the ghost-killing team also appeared. Obviously there is something else to say. In fact, the conversation between Purgatory Kyojuro and Enel at the next moment confirmed their speculation. Your Excellency Enel, your world government should also get the news. Why do you want to deal with Konoha's ninja hand? Purgatory Kyojuro was holding a sunblade, and he seemed to know the purpose of Enel's coming here. AGCG, it's not that I'm going to hit them. In the face of Purgatory Kashalong, Enel obviously restrained his previous arrogance and conducted a dialogue with an equal attitude. Enel did not refute Kashuro's words. I told them I wasn't here to fight them. But if they want to take the initiative to court death, then I will naturally fulfill them. While talking, Enel also looked at Might Dai and the others with disdain, as if mocking their overreaching. Advertisement. As for Enel's attitude, Kakashi below is also naturally angry. But compared to Kakashi, the more calm Uchiha Itachi and Uchiha Obito did not get too angry this time. At this time, they also vaguely understood the situation. Previously, they only thought that Enel Hook is now here to have some conspiracy against Konoha, so they did not believe any word of this famous and dangerous person in the ninja world. But now, from the dialogue between Enel and Purgatory Kyojuro, they can also clearly hear the hook. What Enel said before seems to be true. It seems that he did not come here because of a conspiracy, but because of something. The news will be brought to the major ninja villages. Not even Enel, even Purgatory Kyojuro suddenly appeared here because of this news. As a result, the expressions of Uchiha Itachi, Uchiha Obito and others suddenly became a little embarrassed. Of course, they don't think Enel is a good person because of this, but they deeply feel that they seem to be a little unqualified as a ninja at a critical time. After seeing the expressions of Uchiha Itachi and others, Purgatory Kyojuro seemed to know what happened. However, this Yenju is obviously on Konoha's side. It's not surprising that your world government's style of doing things is misunderstood. As the Yenju of the ghost-killing team, he and Enel obviously did not mean to restrain himself. As far as I know, Jingling should also send a messenger, and it will arrive soon. You don't want to fight me at this time, right? Purgatory Kyojuro softly broke out another big news. I was just ordered to come and inform the ninja world, and I'm not interested in fighting with you. Enel sneered after hearing the words, and then stopped talking. After hearing the conversation between the two, the hearts of the Konoha Tianji below naturally became a little heavier. Not only the ghost-killing squad and the world government, but also the Jingling court. What is the news that will alarm these 3 major forces at the same time? Chapter 219. News that alerted the 3 major forces at the same time. Breath of Flame, Form of Construction, Scroll of Sheng Yan. With such words, Might Dai and the others also saw a red-haired and white-robed figure flickering under the giant lightning ball above the sky. The sunblade in his hand exudes a strange luster against the background of sunlight, and there is an infinite flame surrounding the blade between the dancing, turning into a huge fire. Uzumaki and the falling lightning giant ball collide together. Boom! Between the intersection of thunder and fire, the huge destructive force and shock wave also instantly caused the trees in the twilight forest below to break and fall. And as the shock wave continued to spread, several people also saw that both the huge lightning ball and the vortex of flames were constantly annihilating each other. After the last ray of thunder and fire collided and cancelled each other out, the surrounding scene also became a mess. In front of Might Dai and the others, the red-haired youth in a strange white uniform was standing in front of them with a sword. Breath of Flame. The flame pillar of the ghost-killing team? At the same time, at 453, Enel, who saw that his blow was perfectly defended, did not continue to hook, but instead looked at the red-haired boy in front of him. Different from the arrogance when facing Might Dai and others before, Enel's expression at this time was obviously a little solemn. Yenju, Purgatory Kashalong. I'm sorry, Lord Enel. I fought alongside Konoha's ninjas in the past, but I can't watch and hurt them. Purgatory Xingshulong spoke loudly, and the words were also bright sunshine. Purgatory Kashoru. Originally, Might Dai and the others were still surprised by Fang Ji's unquestionable cage-level confrontation, but at this time they were even more surprised when they heard the conversation between Enel and Purgatory Kyojuro. Because there is no doubt that the name Purgatory Kyojuro is not unfamiliar to Konoha ninja. After all, as the news of the ghost-killing team is known to the ninja world, the ninja village with the best relationship with the ghost-killing team in the entire ninja world is Konoha. In fact, so far, Konoha is also the only one officially with the ghost-killing team. The ninja village that has crossed and even intercropped. Advertisement. The name of Purgatory Kyojuro was circulated in Konoha. The flame pillar of the ghost-killing team, along with the 4th generation and the 3rd generation, wiped out Nada Spider Mountain, one of the ghost's lair. Although most Konoha ninjas have never seen the flame pillar of the ghost-killing team, it does not prevent them from having a friendly sense of it. Sure enough, it is Yenju, exactly the same as the rumored appearance. After learning about the situation, they also immediately linked each other's appearance with the rumored Yenju, and then found that they were indeed right, and naturally they no longer doubted the identity of Purgatory Kashalong. But at the same time, their hearts could not help but feel awe-inspiring. The 7 warlords of the sea and the demon slayer. 2 of the hidden forces actually sent personnel to the vicinity of Konoha. Now that things have developed like this, they naturally understand that they seem to have encountered a major event involving the entire ninja world. If only Enel appeared near Konoha, then there might be some conspiracy. But now, the Purgatory Kyojuro of the ghost-killing team also appeared. Obviously there is something else to say. In fact, the conversation between Purgatory Kyojuro and Enel at the next moment confirmed their speculation. Your Excellency Enel, your world government should also get the news. Why do you want to deal with Konoha's ninja hand? Purgatory Kyojuro was holding a sunblade, and he seemed to know the purpose of Enel's coming here. AGCG, it's not that I'm going to hit them. In the face of Purgatory Kashalong, Enel obviously restrained his previous arrogance and conducted a dialogue with an equal attitude. Enel did not refute Kashuro's words. I told them I wasn't here to fight them. But if they want to take the initiative to court death, then I will naturally fulfill them. While talking, Enel also looked at Might Dai and the others with disdain, as if mocking their overreaching. Advertisement. As for Enel's attitude, Kakashi below is also naturally angry. Previously, they only thought that Enel Hook is now here to have some conspiracy against Konoha, so they did not believe any word of this famous and dangerous person in the ninja world. After seeing the expressions of Uchiha Itachi and others, Purgatory Kyojuro seemed to know what happened. But now, from the dialogue between Enel and Purgatory Kyojuro, they can also clearly hear the hook. What Enel said before seems to be true. It seems that he did not come here because of a conspiracy, but because of something. The news will be brought to the major ninja villages. As the Yenju of the ghost-killing team, he and Enel obviously did not mean to restrain himself. However, this Yenju is obviously on Konoha's side. It's not surprising that your world government's style of doing things is misunderstood. After hearing the conversation between the two, the hearts of the Konoha Tianji below naturally became a little heavier. Enel sneered after hearing the words, and then stopped talking. Of course, they don't think Enel is a good person because of this, but they deeply feel that they seem to be a little unqualified as a ninja at a critical time. Not only the ghost-killing squad and the world government, but also the Jingling court. I was just ordered to come and inform the ninja world, and I'm not interested in fighting with you. What is the news that will alarm these 3 major forces at the same time? Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. At this time, they also vaguely understood the situation. As far as I know, Jingling should also send a messenger, and it will arrive soon. You don't want to fight me at this time, right? But compared to Kakashi, the more calm Uchiha Itachi and Uchiha Obito did not get too angry this time. Purgatory Kyojuro softly broke out another big news. Not even Enel, even Purgatory Kyojuro suddenly appeared here because of this news. As a result, the expressions of Uchiha Itachi, Uchiha Obito and others suddenly became a little embarrassed. Chapter 220 Big Action. Between Konoha and Dusk Forest, there is a temporary rest house originally prepared for ninjas who passed the 2nd stage test. At this time, quite a lot of Konoha elites also gathered in the resting place. Apart from the elite Konoha, the other 4 shadows were all gathered here without exception. Namikaze Minato stood at the forefront of the team, and his expression was also a little dignified at this time. The police said it was him, and no one present would have imagined that this kind of thing would happen during the Chunin exam. Uchiha Shisui and other two groups of candidates encountered the Ghost Slayer and the 7 warlords of the sea in the Dusk Forest, and both groups seemed to have some news to bring to the ninja world. And the ghost killing squad doesn't matter. The key person who arrives in 7 warlords of the sea is Enel, the famous villain in the ninja world. This is like a weasel asking for New Year's greetings. There is a very uneasy feeling. Especially after hearing the news, he immediately called off the Chunin exam for the second stage. It was not difficult, after all the candidates had basically not reached the scope of the first Genjutsu test. Afterwards, he brought Konoha's elite here, and at the same time notified the shadows of the other 4 shinobi villages. And since the entire ninja world has been completely united due to the Moon Net project, the other 4 shadows arrived at Konoha within a very short period of time after receiving the news. And with the 4 shadows gathered together, Namikaze Minato felt a little more confident at this moment. Otherwise, if he just faced the world government with the power of Konoha, he would be a little panicked. 4th generation, here they come. At this time, a sentient ninja next to Namikaze Minato also spoke in a deep voice. So Namikaze Minato quickly turned his attention to the hook of the thin wood forest. Sure enough, at this time, a considerable number of ninjas were seen walking directly out of the thin wood forest. And these ninjas, Namikaze Minato, are also naturally recognized. They are all examiners arranged by Konoha to conduct 4 tests in the Dusk Forest. Advertisement at this time, they showed the formation they were fighting and walked out slowly, leaving a huge circle in the center. And in their extremely vigilant eyes, what they are looking at is a man with a thunder drum. Enel. After seeing each other, Keisuke Luosha and Wuwei, whose village was once attacked by Enel, both showed angry expressions. However, as a dangerous person who was focused on, Enel himself obviously didn't care about the hostility of the nearby ninjas, and just stepped forward on his own. Beside Enel, Uchiha Shisui and the others were walking side by side with Purgatory Kyojuro, and their expressions were slightly wary. It can be said that the scene that appears at this time looks quite weird as the gap. It is indeed His Excellency Kajuru. After seeing that it was indeed Purgatory Kyojuro, Namikaze Minato also knew that the news returned by Uchiha Shisui and others should be true. So he also gestured to several other shadows, especially Fungying Luosha. Hokage, rest assured. I know what to do. At this time, Luosha also naturally understood what Namikaze Minato meant. Since the news from the Dusk Forest is likely to be true, it means that the world government, the Ghost Killing Squad, and even Jingling seem to have some news to do. Tell the ninja world. So it is conceivable that this news must be extremely shocking and important news. In this case, even if the world government and the ninja world are definitely real enemies, it is just like the rule of the 2 armies are fighting, and they will not kill them during the war. They are not good at dealing with Enel at this time. And what Namikaze Minato meant was to signal Luosha not to lose his mind at such a time because of his previous hatred. 0. For flowers. After hearing Luosha's words, the other 4 shadows nodded in unison, and then went forward vigilantly. Advertisement. Your Excellency Kyojuro. Namikaze Minato is naturally the first to say hello to Purgatory Kyojuro. Your Excellency Namikaze Minato, I haven't seen you for a few months. I didn't expect that Your Excellency is already Hokage. Purgatory Shingshu also greeted Namikaze Minato with a smile. Chengmeng 3rd generation only cares about it. Namikaze Minato smiled and then pointed to the 4 shadows behind him. These 4 were once Reikage, Tsuchikage Onogi, Mizukage Terumi Mei and Keisuke Luosha. It turned out to be the 4 shadows, who are in Purgatory, Shinjulang, and the ghost-killing team Yenju. Purgatory Kyojuro, who met with 4 shadows for the first time, also spoke out loudly, and then immediately chatted with 4 shadows. And this is also the first time that Seeing has really made direct contact with the pillars of the ghost-killing team. Especially when Konoha is in front, they naturally want to have a good relationship with the ghost-killing team. After all, ghost-killing from the current point of view, the team can be regarded as the same friendly faction force as Jingling. While everyone was chatting, it was intentional or unintentional that they didn't watch Enel more, which was obviously a demonstration to some extent. And after the greeting, Namikaze Minato quickly moved the surrounding ninjas away. Afterwards, he also went straight to the point. Your Excellency Shinjulang, I heard that you have important news to tell us about your visit to Konoha this time? 99? Yep. Hearing that the topic changed to the whole, Purgatory Kyojuro also nodded lightly, and his expression instantly became serious. In fact, we have just learned about the news itself. As far as we know, the next ghost clan, Hueco Mundo, and the 2 of the 4 emperors, have to make big moves. Loss. Chapter 221 Jingling is also here. Purgatory Kyojuro said this sentence. The amount of information in it is undoubtedly shocking. Rao Shi Wang actually vaguely guessed that the situation would not be simple before he came here, but he couldn't help but change his color when he heard this. In all fairness, it's just a family of ghosts. Hueco Mundo, or any one of the 4 emperors, in fact, is enough for the ninja world to take it seriously. Not to mention the words of Purgatory Kyojuro, these forces seem to have changed at the same time. Even itself is not just a change, but there is indeed a big move. The big move means So Namikaze Minato also looked at Purgatory Kyojuro tentatively. But before Purgatory Kyojuro had time to reply, Enel, who was next to 4 or 5, spoke first. That guy Kaido and Charlotte Linlin used to be strong men who belonged to the Ross Pirates, and they have known each other for a long time. Friendship. This time, Kaido and the King of Demons, Ellen, did an instant work, and his beast pirates also did a part of the work with the Ghost family, and also pulled Charlotte Linlin together. Enel obviously didn't have a good impression of the 5 shadows either, so he spoke with a more intense tone of watching the excitement rather than sharing information seriously. Ross, pirates suck? Charlotte Linlin? After hearing Enel's strange words, Wang couldn't help but feel annoyed, but even the sign was attracted by some of the information revealed in Enel's words. First up were the Loth Pirates, a name they had no doubt never heard of before. At least among the 4 emperors they originally knew, there was no one named Ross. But at the same time, the information Enel said was extremely shocking. This time the 4 emperors of the Ghost Clan interfering with each other were not just Kaido, but another 4 emperors, Charlotte Linlin. And from this point of view, these 4 emperors were conspiring to belong to the same person before. You don't need to pay attention, I have heard the Lord talk about the death of the god who fell to the Grand Line many years ago. Advertisement. As soon as Purgatory Kishoro saw Wu Ying's expression, he knew that they seemed to have misunderstood, and he said directly at this time. Down. And after hearing this sentence, the 5 shadows' hearts were relaxed a little. They already knew enough powerful forces, and they naturally didn't want to hear any more information about new forces or powerhouses. As for what Purgatory Kashalong said about the Valley of the Gods, they didn't have the time to ask. Dare you ask what you mean by big move? At this time, Wang also had such a question in his heart. In fact, when they asked this question, what Kaido had said before couldn't help resounding in their hearts. The lousy wants a war, a great war that sweeps the world. The 4 emperors at that time clearly said so. The island of Oni has been hooked into the waters located in the southern part of the ninja world. After hearing the question, before Enel and Purgatory Kyojuro could speak, they heard the sound from the open air again. When Wang looked up, he also saw a white-haired boy wearing Captain Yori standing in the sky. HMPH, the guy from Jingling? Is it Shinigami, the leader of Shinigami, the leader of the Jingling court? I'm Kyojuro Yenju Purgatory of the Ghost Killing Team. At this time, Kishoro and Enel did not seem to be surprised by each other's rhythm, but each showed a different attitude. Your Excellency Yishiro. Compared with Chashalong and Enel, the 5 shadows are obviously more familiar with Hitsugaya Yishiro, the captain of Jingling, and naturally they recognize the other party as Jingling's captain at a glance. Riffin kills Wei Shilong. So they were naturally stunned. Advertisement, Jingling actually dispatched the captain to come over to dry. And it is not difficult for them to guess that the reason why Riffin killed his wife and came to Lang is obviously because of what Enel and Purgatory Kashu Lang said before. Especially Mizukage Terumi Mei, her face changed dramatically at this time. Southern Seas. Her expression suddenly showed great solemnity and even some horror. There is no other, because the Water Country, which is an island country, is originally located in a sea area in the southern part of the ninja world. The Island of Ghosts. After hearing the name of this island, although the other 4 shadows were not as flustered as Terumi Mei, their hearts were naturally stunned. In fact, they have already heard of this name. When they visited Jingling Palace earlier, they had heard of this name from the Captain Yamamoto Uenujai Shigekuni. They also know that this island with a similar name to the Ghost family seems to be the Beast Kaido's lair, and has been migrated away from the Grand Line by Kaido somehow. It is said that the purpose is to invade the ninja world. Afterwards, they naturally conducted investigations in various ways, but they have never found any traces of this island, so although they will not be forgotten over time, the intensity of the investigation is not so strong. So at this time, when they heard that 2.6 Ghost Island seems to have come to the vicinity of the ninja world without their knowledge, and it seems to be related to a huge conspiracy of the 3 major forces, they are naturally awe-inspiring. Also, please explain clearly, what the hell is going on here? So at this time, the 5 shadows also looked at the 3 people in front of them. You don't have to worry, I came here on the order of the Lord, and invited the ninja world to attack the Island of Ghosts together, and I will naturally explain the situation to you. 33 At this time, Purgatory Kishoro also nodded and said softly, and then he glanced at Riffin Killer Yishiro and Enel. I believe that the 2 are here for this reason, right? Chapter 222 Attack the Ghost Island. After the words of Purgatory Kyojuro fell, the 5 shadows were naturally stunned. Because although the situation has not been really explained, the words of Purgatory Kishoro have already explained the purpose of his arrival, to invite the ninja world and attack the Island of Ghosts. And according to what Shangjulang said, the Jingling world and the government seem to have come for similar purposes. And this undoubtedly makes it difficult for the 5 shadows to understand. According to what they know, these 3 forces should not have much intersection with each other, let alone involving the ninja world. Especially soon, they also saw the response of Yishilong and Enel. It's true. The Commander-in-Chief is busy suppressing the seal of Hueco Mundo, and His Majesty the Spirit King is fighting for Hueco Mundo, so I will be dispatched here. Yoshiro nodded, but did not deny Kyojuro's words. Misunderstanding, I didn't come here to ask questions. I was just ordered to bring the news here, As for whether you wait to die or take the initiative to attack the Ghost Island, that's not my business." And Enel sneered at 06. The slightly different attitudes of the two sides are enough to make the five shadows smell a little bit. However, they are also very sensible and did not interrupt at such a time. So soon, Enel spoke directly. "The Island of Ghosts is the home of the Beast Pirates, and within the Beast Pirates, apart from the Beast Kaido there are three major disasters: fire, drought, and epidemic. Quinn, Strength is a pretty tricky character. In addition, there are 6 sons of Linkong in the 100 Beast Pirates, and there are quite a lot of machinaires inside, which allows the island to move freely in the sea, which is very dangerous. And this time another 4 emperors, Charlotte Linlin, who also intervened in the incident, whose home is in the Grand Line's 10,000 Kingdoms, so this time she did not go there personally, but only sent some members of her subordinates to the Island of Ghosts." Advertisement Enel is clearly faithful in fulfilling his responsibilities as a ruthless message-spreading machine. Of course, the key to this matter is not the questioning of the 4 emperors. When the words came to this point, he also looked at Purgatory Kishoro and Hitsugaya Kishiro. That's right. So at this time, Purgatory Kyojuro also took over the conversation. Everyone should also know that Kaido has already asked the Ghost family, although it can't be said to be certain, but the King of Ghosts is probably in Kaido's Ghost now. Island, 99. Also, many of Kaido's members of the Beasts should have already accepted the blood of ghosts, and the specific danger level will also be greatly increased. And as far as our ghost killing team knows, the purpose of the Ghost Clan is to turn the world into their food, and the 4 emperors Kaido is a war madman. And if there is no accident, they will be in a few months. Uchi launched aggression and attack on the ninja world. When Kishoro's words came to this point, the atmosphere became extremely tense. But this is clearly not the case, because immediately after that, Riffin killing Yi Shilong opened his mouth again and shouted, "It's not just the Ghost family and the 4 emperors. His Majesty the Spirit King is now fighting on the Hueco Mundo, 99. During the battle, His Majesty the King of Spirit also found that although the King of Void still stayed in Hueco Mundo, part of his espada and part of the giant army had disappeared. It is likely that he had used the seal together with the King of Ghosts before the exploit left Hueco Mundo. Although Mr. Yamamoto has used the chara provided by the ninjas in the ninja world to strengthen the seal, these guys who have left Hueco Mundo may have also gone to the Island of Ghosts to carry out their plans. Between the 3 of you and me, you basically outlined the situation in front of 5 shadows very quickly. And as the situation was outlined, the 5 shadows had basically understood the current situation. The relationship between the Oni family and Hueco Mundo is no longer a secret, and Kaido and the Oni family have also asked about it not long ago, and another 4 emperors, Charlotte Linlin, and Kaido have friendship. In other words, now these few evil forces have actually started to ask questions. Even before long, they will launch an attack on the ninja world. Advertisement and naturally, don't say more, as the giant army who has seen Hueco Mundo in person, and the powerful people who have seen the King of Ghosts and Kaido with their own eyes, the 5 shadows also know in their hearts that this can almost be said to be enough to wipe out the ninja world. Great crisis. It's even said directly, if these forces really go all out, then the ninja world doesn't need to fight at all, just hit GG directly. After all, even now that the ninja world has been unified, there are Naruto Otsutsugi and Sage of 6 Paths behind them, but they still have no chance of winning in the face of these terrifying forces. But the key is that the 5 shadows also know, although the situation is extremely bad, it is not that bad. The arrival of the 3 people in front of them also illustrates this point. The main force of the Ghost Clan must still be contained by the Ghost Killing Team, and even with the relationship between our ninja world and the Ghost Killing Team, the Ghost Killing Team is likely to help us in this incident, 99. And Jingling sealed most of the power of Hueco Mundo. Although the 2 6 Paths level powerhouses, the Spirit King and the Captain, were unable to put out 453 hands to suppress this incident, the same, Hueco Mundo. Also it is impossible to send too much force, at most only a part of the giant army. 29. As for the alliance between the 4 emperors, the world government should also be very afraid, otherwise it would not have sent Enel to stimulate us. Wu Xingying has figured out why Enel, who is also their enemy, came to give them information. Because for the world government, compared to the ninja world, the connection between the 4 emperors and Hueco Mundo and the Ghost Clan is obviously more difficult. And when the world government sent Enel over, it obviously didn't want to provide any help, but just wanted to use the ninja world to solve the opponent. After all, the target of Onishima's attack is the ninja world, and the world government can completely stand on the sidelines or even reap the benefits. This is almost a conspiracy, and Wying is obviously not unfamiliar with this attitude of the world government. But at the same time, they also know that the attitude of the world government is correct. Because after hearing this news, they also understood in their hearts that no matter what the other big forces think, the ninja world really had no choice from the beginning. They really had to make a move in advance and take the initiative to attack the Island of Ghosts. Chapter 223 Yuri's Whereabouts. 5 Shadows knew that their initiative to attack the Island of Ghosts was an inevitable event that they could not choose. Because the current situation is like this, whether it is the Jingling Court, the world government or the Ghost Killing Team, whether they are diligent or not, with the strength of these forces, and whether the invasion of the ninja world by Ghost Island is successful or not, they all have room for mediation. But on the contrary, if the number of troops and enemies on the island of Oni is really as dangerous as Enel and others say, then no matter whether the invasion of Oni Island is successful or not, the ninja world will surely be wiped out. It's like playing chess. These powerful forces use the entire world as chess pieces to form a formation, and many shinobi villages may be equivalent to chess pieces for them. No matter which side wins in the end, as long as the game is played, the pieces will always suffer heavy losses. So now, the five shadows had to do it first. Before they attacked the ninja world on the island of Oni, they had to attack the island of Oni in advance. In this way, they can ensure that the location of the battle is stabilized overseas and ensure the safety of the ninja world itself. And even if it is the worst plan, that is, the ninja world is defeated in the Oni island, and the major ninja villages can also gain enough time to preserve their living strength. Your Excellency Kyojuro, dare to ask, do you know which sea area the Ghost Island is located in? So at this time, after the five shadows made eye contact, Terumi Mei first asked the key question. After Kishoro heard the words, he turned his eyes to Enel. And Enel snorted coldly after seeing Kishoro's gaze, but he did not refuse to reveal the information. Since Onishima left the Grand Line, Mr. Yu has been observing the movements of Onishima. Previously, the location of the Ghost Island is the Space Sea area in the south of your ninja world, but after the Ghost King Lin and Kaido personally welcomed back to the Ghost Island not long ago, they covered the existence of the Ghost Island with the power of the Ghost King. So now, the exact location of Onishima Island can't be determined, and it can only be judged that it is probably still in a certain sea area in the south. Although Enel's attitude is not very good, the explanation is undoubtedly quite clear. Especially the five shadows, after hearing Enel's words, his eyes were also condensed. Especially Namikaze Minato knew even more that Enel said, Lord Moon, most likely the second five who had hooked Konoha before now. Elders, the month of Otsutsugi. Advertisement, Kunma Sea. While the other major ninja villages are all on land, even the coastal Cloud Shinobi village is not a good place for marine knowledge. So at this time, only Mizukage Terumi Mei's expression became extremely serious. Mist Ninja Village is undoubtedly the most in-depth exploration of the ocean among all the ninja villages in the ninja world, so Terumi Mei naturally knows the Space Sea area. That sea area is not far from our country of water. After Terumi Mei's words were concise and comprehensive, Wu Ying's expression changed dramatically. You know, according to what Enel said, the news of the sea between Pingjian has been news for a while. And if the previous Oni Island was already not far from the land of water, wouldn't the current Oni Island be closer to the ninja world? Is there any way to find the island of Oni? Onogi hurriedly looked at Purgatory Kyojuro. The power of the King of Ghosts is extremely unique. Even if our ghost killing team has been fighting him for several years, it is difficult for us to find what he intentionally hides. 5. Shang Shoulong shook his head, but when Wu Ying's expression was a little ugly, he opened his mouth and added, but I came here this time because of this incident. According to the device used by our ghost killing team to sense ghost aura, it seems that a ghost's lair has recently been found in this forest. This ghost's lair has recently appeared, and it is likely that the King of Ghosts arranged to monitor the movements of your ninja world. As long as we can find this ghost's lair, we may be able to find the hidden sea area of the Ghost Island. 99. Namikaze Minato was also in disbelief after hearing Kyojuro's words, Demon's Den. Advertisement T. Lord Hokage. So at this time, he also naturally discovered that a group of examiners such as Mako Yuhi, who was in charge of the Genjutsu test, did not come out of the Dusk Forest. And after hearing Nara Shikaji's words, Namikaze, Li Hao, Minato was naturally stunned. In other words, the Konoha's brain expression was also extremely serious at this time. The people who were arranged in the Twilight Forest, the Genjutsu group led by Yuhi Mako, have disappeared. Genjutsu group. Yuhi is really red, but he naturally couldn't imagine that, in this Twilight Forest, according to what Shangjulang said, there seems to be a ghost's lair. Yuhi is really red and they may have strayed into the ghost's lair that Your Excellency Kyojuro said. As Konoha's top Genjutsu ninja, Yuhi Mako, of course he knows, and even Yuhi Mako is the chief examiner of the Genjutsu group where he personally instructed him. But it was at this moment that Nara Shikahisa's figure jumped in front of Namikaze Minato from a tree not far away. And the one that impressed him the most, and also the first time this kind of thing happened, was in the old Nashin Spider Mountain. After all the examiners who were originally in the Dusk Forest came out, Nara Shikahisa naturally began to count the number of people. He once fought side by side with Xingjulang in Nashin Spider Mountain, and he naturally knew that the existence of the ghost's lair was similar to the warp. Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. So Namikaze Minato's mind flashed and he quickly understood what was going on. No, the examiners in each group should have the imprint of the God of Thunder issued earlier. They should be able to catch the accident. Because so far, there have not been many cases where his Flying Thunder God mark cannot be used. Chapter 224 The Wonderful Encounter of Yuhi's Real Red. At the same time, Yuhi Mako and the others have indeed been exploring for a while in the suddenly mysterious mountain range. Even though she fell into this strange mountain range for the first time, Yuhi Jinhong faintly guessed that this mountain range should be a different space similar to the Nashan Spider Mountain that she had heard of before. But after exploring this mountain range, his heart was still extremely shocked. Without him, it is because this mountain range is too big. He and the ninjas he led were all Genjutsu ninjas who were originally in charge of the Genjutsu test. Genjutsu fan ninjas' spiritual power and perception ability are extremely outstanding, and it is quite close to the perception type ninja. Many times in the war, it is actually a perception type ninja. It can be said that if sensory ninjas like the Yamanaka clan can perceive a range of 5,000 meters, then Mako Yuhi can also perceive a range of at least 3,000 meters. But under such a powerful perception ability, they walked for so long without seeing the slightest concept of an end in this mountain range. What appears after crossing the mountain peak is still the mountain peak, and what continues to cross the forest is still the forest. These 453 kinds of treacherous areas that seem to be impossible to get out of anyway naturally make many ninjas, including Yuhi Mahong, have more and more ominous premonitions in their hearts. But at this moment, Yuhi Mako finally discovered something different after so long of exploration. It was an area about 2,000 meters south that he sensed with the help of his perception ability. Of course, what he perceives is not what is in that area. On the contrary, he finds that the chara and perception that he spreads out after entering that area, it feels as if it was swallowed by a black hole and doesn't feel anything. Arrive. But this anomaly, to a certain extent, is itself a reminder. Shine the breath and Shirela, let's go over there. Therefore, Yuhi Mako, who had been baptized by battles and countless missions, immediately made a correct judgment and asked the other ninjas beside her. Yes. Advertisement. The other ninjas nodded too. Even though their perception ability was not as red as Yuhi, they didn't find anything unusual. However, as ninjas, the iron law of obeying the orders of the superiors obviously cannot be violated, so they also did according to Yuhi Mahong's orders, restrained their breath together, covered their bodies, and moved in the direction Yuhi Mako said, go. And soon, Yuhi Mako and the ninjas are already close to the extremely abnormal area in Yuhi Mako's perception. As the distance approached, Yuhi Zhenhong's nose was also inexplicably smelled a strange smell. It's the smell of sea salt, Lord True Red. And Yuhi Zhenhong was still in doubt, and a Jonin next to him gave him an answer. Yes. Exactly, and Yuhi Zhenhong also remembered at this time. The smell coming from this nose is exactly the same as the smell of the sea he smelled when he performed a secret mission in the land of water. Even the sea breeze blowing around him at this time was the same as in his memory. 12. How could there be an ocean here? After realizing the source of this flavor, Zhenhong in the past was more and more confused. This area is clearly mountainous. No matter how you look at it, it doesn't look like there is an ocean. Keep going. But the more inexplicable the situation is, the stronger the hunch in Yuhi's heart. He knows that he is likely to be close to the area where the core truth of this mountain range is located. And the facts prove that his guess was right. Advertisement. Its overall size is extremely amazing, and other surrounding islands are like miniatures in comparison with it. And at this time, with just such a glance, he can be sure that the entire ninja world has been searching for a long time, and the island of the ghosts of the four emperors Kaido's lair must be the island that he hooked up in front of him. The huge size seems to be prepared for giants, and the scene of lying down is almost as shocking as tearing the sky apart. And although Mako Yuhi himself did not know what the five shadows were discussing at this time, as Konoha elite Jonin, he naturally got information about the island of ghosts before, and even the mission he performed in the country of water was actually investigate the location of Onishima. With the unique vision given by the space channel, Yuhi Mahong was able to directly see the overall appearance of the island. And above the ocean, there is a huge island floating. And such a huge space channel also allows Yuhi Zhenhong to directly see the picture at the other end of the channel. Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. And in the middle of the hellish island, there is a huge rock fortress that can be seen as a natural formation. The fortress is like a head as a whole, and there are two sharp horns above the head, and there is a huge hollow below. The Island of Ghosts. In the distance, in the dark night sky and the moonlit mountain range, a huge space channel is located on the other side of the mountain. As he expected, it was an azure ocean, and the smell of sea salt and sea breeze they had smelled before was also rhythmic from it. If you look at it with the whole island, it looks like an evil spirit opening its mouth and devouring people. But now, the huge space channel of Kendo of Yuhi Mahong has surpassed those channels built by Moon Net by dozens of times. Because after crossing another small hill in front of him, he saw an incredible painting. There are trees and red soil on the island, and on the island is a faintly visible huge army of giants who seem to be walking constantly, and hot magma can be seen flowing around the island. The whole looks like a legend. Among them, Sen Luo is like hell. Yuhi Mako has also seen the space channel of the Moon Net that Konoha has recently been with Shu. The space channel that has existed for a long time with the help of the legendary Sage of Six Paths, in the heart of any ninja. It is tantamount to a god. Traces of things. Chapter 225 The Fourth of the Winding Strings, Mingnu. Yuhi Mahong didn't have time to be too surprised by the sudden hook on Onishima in front of him. Because what he saw was not as simple as the simple Oni Island. Buzz. In Yuhi's real red vision, above the huge ghost island, along with the constant changes of the clouds, a huge city is also looming and rhyming. The appearance of this giant city has irregular ramen noodles, and the whole is full of crazy ominous atmosphere. And this huge city, Yui, is really red, but it is not the same. It is the capital of the Ghost King, Infinite City, that Konoha once caught a glimpse of with the appearance of the King of Ghosts not long ago. At this time, the residence of the legendary Ghost King is also spreading a strange purple light curtain, wrapping the entire Ghost Island in it. It was also after the appearance of the Infinite City that Yui Mikoji finally noticed that there were actually two figures in front of the huge space passage. It's just that because of the strong presence of the sea, the Island of Ghosts, and the Infinite City, Yui Zhenheng didn't notice the existence of these two figures for the first time. I saw that among the two, one of them was a boy with white hair, with a strange red dot on his face, and in his left eye, the number Wu was written down. The fifth chord. Even though he was far away and could only see one side, with the help of his extraordinary vision as a lead Jonin, Yui Mako could still see the character in the opponent's left eye. And the current ninja world is not ignorant of the Ghost Clan, so they naturally understand the meaning of this word. But it is precisely because of this that Yui Mikoji will be surprised. Because according to what he knew, the fifth evil ghost was the ghost named Jien, that appeared in the Spider Mountain in Nashin before, and the appearance and the situation of the nearby mountain range were almost compatible with the other party. Number 1. But the key point is that according to the information he knows, the ghost should have already fallen under the sunblade of the ghost-killing team Yenju Purgatory Kyojuro, and there is absolutely no possibility of it here. So soon, Yui Zhenheng also turned his attention to another figure. Advertisement, and seeing this, Yui Zhenheng's heart was slightly stunned. I saw another figure. Looking at the appearance, it was a black-haired girl in a black kimono, and even just looking at her figure seemed quite attractive. But if you look at her face, the thoughts in your heart will disappear. Because on its face, there is only one eye, which runs across the top of the entire face, as for the nose and the other eye. Moreover, there are many blood threads entangled in the one eye, which looks like the eyes of a monster, which is daunting. Especially in that one-eyed eye, there are also two big characters, Shangxi. The fourth of Winding Strings, she turned out to be the ghost of Winding Strings. And after seeing the two words in the eyes of the female evil spirit, Yui Zhenheng's heart was naturally extremely horrified. Previously, the strength of the 5 steps of the last string in the Black Death year of the first string, the ninja world has almost become a master, and even the strength of the 12 ghosts has been roughly speculated because of this. According to the speculation of the ninja world, the ghost who dies in the 12 ghost moons is about surpassing elite Jonin and getting close to cage level. And the ghost of the string, without exception, should be the strength of cage level, and even surpassing cage level is not impossible. Therefore, Yui Zhenheng naturally felt a great sense of crisis in his heart, but at the same time he knew that what he was encountering was definitely a very critical thing. The 12 ghosts and moons have always been ghosts and ghosts, and this time, Infinite City, with the addition of the Oni Island, the fifth who should have died, and the fourth who suddenly appeared, the things involved are definitely far beyond his imagination. So, prepare to use the multi-mesh formation. We need to know what they're talking about. Yui Mako turned her head and said to the other ninjas behind her. Yes, and the other ninjas are also Konoha Jonin, so naturally they will not make any other expressions because of fear, and immediately start the formation, and Yui Zhenheng is the center of the formation. This multi-net formation is also a formation that is very commonly used in Jonin, who is responsible for intelligence collection in the ninja world. It uses the power of formation to integrate the perceptions of multiple perceptual ninjas and expand them, which can be perceived farther and finer. It is a common ninjutsu that many ninjas in the ninja world gather when they perform tasks. Advertisement: before things start, you can't find any problems, otherwise, you won't have a third chance. Lose. During this time, Your Majesty has no time to pay attention to those leisure things. Your Majesty just believes in you, and will let you resurrect once again to perform your mission. He also knew the existence and power of the King of Ghosts, but he never thought that the King of Ghosts actually had the power to bring back the dead evil spirits. However, before Yui was shocked, Naruto's words continued to rhyme. This is also your last chance. Several other ghost moons in the Espada of Hueco Mundo, and their giant army for a week inside will gather. His Majesty and the 4 emperors are busy making final preparations in Infinite City. 99. And what Naruto said made his heart even more shocked. At this time, the words of the 5th vote of the last string can be said to be quite respectful and urgent. And the first sentence he said, no doubt made Yui really red eyes lit up, Naruto girl, which was obviously the name of the 4th evil ghost. At this time, with the formation of the formation, Yui Zhenheng also tried to control her chakra and perception to spread in the direction of the 2 evil ghosts. Yui Zhenheng could hear that Naruto's status was obviously much higher than the votes, and there was no euphemism at all between her words. This is undoubtedly an important news that can change the threat level of the ghost family. So you must lurking in this area to observe the situation during this period of time, and after His Majesty starts to act, you will use this portal in one fell swoop to flatten this ninja village called Konoha with an army of giants. And soon, he also sensed what the two were communicating. 0. For flowers, at this time, Naruto also spoke softly. Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Even among the many information that the ninja world knows from the ghost killing team, there are hardly any relevant records. Lord Naruto, please believe me. Chapter 226 discovered. There is no doubt that what these two evil spirits said at this time was enough to shock Yuhi for a whole year. Although he had already guessed it, he would probably encounter something very important this time, especially after seeing Naruto and Ying's hookup. He judged that the information this time was very critical. But he never imagined that it would be such a big deal. Yuhi Mahone didn't know that Wukage and Enel and others had already communicated and knew the beginning and end of the Ghost Island plan, so he was only shocked by the number of forces involved in the Ghost Family plan, and the strength of the plan. Strong is simply appalling. If you don't care, this power is enough to threaten the entire ninja world. So at this time, Yuhi Zhenhong's heart, 4 or 5, couldn't help but feel anxious. He had to send the information back to the village immediately. This information was too important. But it was also during the shock in Yuhi's heart that Naruto and Cam apparently ended their communication. I want to return to Infinite City to serve His Majesty immediately. Now that the existence of Oni Island has been covered up by His Majesty, I will close this space channel and open it again to transport His Majesty's army after the plan starts. GN, don't disappoint Your Majesty. Lord Naruto, please rest assured, I will never fail His Majesty's trust again. After hearing Naruto's words, Jung also fell to the ground directly. And this is undoubtedly a very important news. Naruto, the fourth of the last string, seems to be an evil ghost who lives in the Infinite City and serves the King of Ghosts. And as the conversation between the two evil ghosts ended, Yuhi Mako also saw Naruto slowly waving her hand. Then, the huge space channel began to shrink and disappear at a speed visible to the naked eye. The blue sea disappeared from the field of vision at an extremely fast speed, and was replaced by mountains and forests that were the same as the surrounding environment. No, it can't end here, but at this time, Yuhi Jinhong's heart became anxious. After all, he is also considered to be a powerful figure in Konoha and Elite Jonin. He has been performing tasks in the village for so many years, and he has already distinguished the key to an intelligence. Advertisement, and there is no doubt that the information he is now in contact with is not limited to Konoha. This is a huge conspiracy that is enough to destroy the ninja world. And he also clearly heard Naruto's words. The existence of Oni Island has been concealed by the attack of the King of Oni, Rin. So, we must figure out the sea area where Onishima Island is located, otherwise even if we know the other party's conspiracy, they are still in the dark and we are in the light, and the situation in the ninja world is still not good. Mako Yuhi, who was very aware of the importance of this information, also directly adhered to the idea of, we'll be outside, Kun's life will be affected, and made a decision directly. He suddenly strengthened his own perception ability and released Chara, and in the last few breaths of the huge space channel gradually shrinking and disappearing, he suddenly passed through the space channel. But at this moment, Naruto, who had already closed the space channel, and the infant nearby also flashed a clear surprise. And the next moment, the huge force of the opening and closing of the space channel squeezed back the perception of Zarira, who was really red in Yuhi. Immediately, retreat. But in such a short time, Yuhi Mako had obviously obtained the information he wanted, and immediately ordered everyone to retreat. But at the same time, GN, there are bugs over there, clean them up immediately. Along with Naruto's threatening voice, there seemed to be a flash of panic in GN's expression. Yes, Naruto-sama. So just a moment later, Gong's figure flew towards Yuhi Zhenhong and the others. At the same time as he jumped into the air, a huge spider web appeared in the surrounding forests, constantly picking up the baby's figure and then throwing it towards the front, making him look as fast as flying. Advertisement and Yuhi Mako and others are genjutsu-type ninjas, and they have never been good at physical fitness and speed. So in just a moment, the spider web was suspended in front of Yuhi Mahong and the others. You damn bugs, how dare you! At this time, Ying was obviously extremely angry, and even the tone of voice became no longer indifferent. And Yuhi Mako seems to be able to understand Jian's extraordinary anger according to the information he now knows. After the failure of the previous battle and being killed by Cha Sholong, he was in the status among the evil spirits has obviously declined. At least from Naruto's words, it can be seen that the King of Ghosts is obviously extremely strict with ghosts and does not allow them to make mistakes. And Zheng has just been resurrected. In Yuhi Zhenhong's guess, it is obvious that he must complete the task perfectly, and then he can successfully get the approval of the King of Ghosts. However, not long after the other party was resurrected, he stole the information again, which was undoubtedly a huge mistake in front of the King of Ghosts. Therefore, in view of the anger at this time, Yuhi Jin 2.6 red is naturally understandable. Die. And it seems that he was driven by anger, and there was no hesitation between Zheng Fisherman at all. He raised his hands and made a pull action behind him. Careful. And with his actions, Yuhi Jinhong also shouted loudly, and then suddenly jumped high. Among the other ninjas beside him, those who responded quickly naturally did the same thing, but the one or two who responded slowly didn't have time to jump. Wow. So the next moment, the white spider silk directly divided their bodies into two like the sharpest blade. Between the blood splattering, the two ninjas were also killed in an instant. Chapter 227 The realization that the sunset is really red. Looking at the two Konoha ninjas who had been killed in seconds, Yuhi Junhong's heart was naturally quite sad. But at this time, he also knew that as a ninja his first task Everyone, take this and retreat immediately, I'll break it later. Use Earth style to hide after retreating, the village must have known the news of our disappearance, we need to wait for support. At this time, Yuhi Mako also directly raised his hand to throw out a few scrolls towards the other ninjas, and then said such words directly. He had seen the dossier in the village before, and he knew that Jien, the next ranked evil spirit, had almost cage-level combat power. And with the strength of their current batch of ninjas, it is obviously enough to fight against a cage level. After all, in front of cage level, Jonin is basically something that can be killed in seconds, except for his elite Jonin it's hard for anyone else to even fight. But at the same time, Yuhi Jinhung knew that they had been missing for so long, and even if the village responded slowly, they would definitely have discovered their disappearance. And he has enough trust in Namikaze Minato. This fourth Hokage has extraordinary accomplishments in time and space ninjutsu, and he has participated in the crusade of Nash and Spider Mountain before, so he will be able to find their traces sooner or later. So he also made a decisive decision. He will contain the other party, while the other Jonin spread out with information, so that they can delay as long as possible. Master Red. After hearing Yuhi Mako's arrangement, the other ninjas were also shocked. But before they could express their emotion in their hearts, the other side sneered Zhen Sheng. Let's go. None of you can go. In the sneer, Zheng also raised his hand and pulled it again, so the countless spider webs turned into a devil's head in the air and devoured them directly towards everyone. Fire style the art of balsam. After seeing this scene, Yuhi Mahong also decided to seal the seal. When he raised his hand, he shot a fire-style ninjutsu directly. Caused damage to the opponent. This is the information recorded in the Konoha file. Advertisement. So the next moment, the hot flame collided with the evil ghost's head, and the red figure of Yuhi was already fighting with Zheng at the same time of the collision. After seeing this scene, the other ninjas finally made up their minds at this time, and each held the information scroll given by Yuhi Mahong and fled in all directions. Want to run? Seeing this scene, Zheng also stretched out his right hand and planned to stop the ninjas from escaping. Monster. Your opponent is me. However, Yuhi Mako interrupted Jien's movements at the right time. The kunai in his hand collided with Kazuki's right hand, making sparks and harsh sounds of Jinjei colliding, barely stopping Jien's movements. You wanna die? After seeing this, Zheng also resolutely gritted his teeth and directly fought against Yuhi Jinhung. So I saw spider silks from time to time passing from the battlefield of the two towards the surrounding area, and each spider silk was like a sharp blade whip. The face is torn apart, and its terrifying destructive power is daunting just by looking at it. On the other hand, the situation on Yuhi's real red side is quite bad. Although he already knew about his abilities and ways of hurting ghosts through intelligence, he is not an elite Jonin who is good at taijutsu and frontal combat. The battle of genjutsu ninjas is almost always to let the opponent fall into genjutsu through seals or other means in advance, and then take advantage of the opportunity of genjutsu to kill with one blow. But in frontal combat, there is obviously no chance for Yuhi Mako to cast high-level genjutsu. After all, he is not the kind of plug-in race of the Uchiha clan, and he has the bloodline limit that can make the opponent genjutsu with a single glance. As for whether the rest of the information can be brought out, it can only be said to be left to fate. But it was at this time. Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Advertisement. So the battle-hardened Yuhi Mako also knew that he should stop coughing here. Boom. The razor-sharp spider silk symbolizing death once again slid across Yuhi Zhenhong's face, while the former Zhenhong barely dodged. At the same time, there was no way to cut out a huge bone-deep wound on his right shoulder. But for this, he realized it the first time he made a decision. The other ninjas should have fled a certain distance and hid for this part of the time he procrastinated. Sage Art Zongiluobianwen. Red. With the increase of wounds, his physical decline naturally became more and more serious, and he soon fell into an extremely dangerous situation. Yuhi Jinhung felt a little guilty when she thought of her young daughter. At this time, he felt that his body, hands and feet became extremely heavy, and the massive blood loss and the consumption of chara made him feel a huge pressure just standing. And to say that Yuhi Mahong's only regret is that it is only his daughter. Seeing that Shiver cut the great fireball technique in half with a single blow and charged at him again, Yuhi Mahong didn't regret devoting herself to the village and the mission one by one, which was the proudest ending as a ninja. Therefore, although he fought against Jian a few times at the beginning with a strong momentum, he soon fell into Xiao's obvious disadvantage, and the spider silk on his body also caused many ferocious wounds. Even though Mako Yuhi reluctantly used a great fireball to get away again, her bellows-like breathing and weak breath undoubtedly showed that he had reached his limit. Is this the end? Chapter 228 Sudden Death Again? Sage Art Zongi Luobianwen. With a low shout, the space behind Yuhi Jinhung was also torn apart by a huge gap. In the next moment, Namikaze Minato's figure jumped out of it, blocking Yuhi's real red. In his hand, the snail pill with enormous power will collide with the baby in the next moment. And as Ju let out a muffled groan, his figure was repelled by Namikaze Minato. Master 4th Generation. At this time, Ri Zhenhung was still in a dream. He naturally did not expect that Namikaze Minato would appear here even when he had already given up. But what surprised Yuhi even more was that breath of flame, type of ginseng, Vientian of Qi Yan. I saw that the figure that was hit and hooked by Namikaze Minato didn't even have time to land. and with a clear low roar, the scorching fire flashed behind Fan along with the sunblade. Purgatory Kyojiro's sun wheel knife fell from top to bottom almost in an instant, and its target was also Jian's neck. "It's you." After seeing Shangshulang, Jian's pupils also shrank suddenly, and then the cobwebs in his hands were tied to the surrounding trees, and he had to use his strength to fly away to avoid the fatal blow of Purgatory's Shingshulang. But, Earth-style weighted rock technique, 99, magnet-style magnetic art. The figures of Tsuchikage Onogi and Keisuke Luosha also happened to be on both sides of Yunxian Jian at this time, and between their respective seals, the figure who was about to go a long way was suddenly stagnant in the air. "Do not," advertisement. The next moment, the resurrected evil spirit of the fifth cord was cut off by Kishoro once again. And until the head was cut off, Jian's expression was still full of disbelief and horror. Afterwards, his body fell directly to the ground just like the last time, and together with his head, it turned into wisps of pitch-black aura that drifted into the air. And until this time, Yuri Zhenheng was still stunned. From Ying's shot at him, to Ying's head being beheaded so easily, everything that happened from beginning to end was in the light of flint, and it was a little too sudden. Tsuchikage, Mizukage, Kase, Reikage. So at this time, Mako Yuhi was also looking at the figure that appeared in front of her, and for a while she only wondered if she had fallen into some kind of genjutsu. "Lord Hokage, how could you?" It wasn't until after a while, Mako Yuhi turned back to the god of crescendo for a little while, and at this time she also looked at Namikaze Minato with a puzzled expression. And Namikaze Minato, seeing Yuhi Mahong's expression, naturally opened his mouth to briefly explain what happened to Yuhi Mako. Naturally, there is no need to say more. After getting the news about the conspiracy of the Island of Ghosts and the possible existence of the lair of ghosts around Konoha from Enel and the other three people, the people of the ninja world naturally searched in the Dusk Forest. With the help of Purgatory Kyojiro, and knowing the location of the group of examiners in charge of the genjutsu test when they disappeared, they naturally found their target quickly. And when they broke the barrier of the ghost's lair and broke into it as before, they just happened to save Yuhi Mahong by the way. You also have to thank your excellency Xing Shoulong. If it wasn't for him who happened to sense the breath of you and the ghost in the space, I'm afraid we might not be able to find your location so accurately. Namikaze Minato also added a sentence at the end, and he was also a little fortunate in his heart. One day at the end of the day is really red, but Konoha's top elite Jonin. If it is here, it will be a great loss to Konoha. I see. Although Namikaze Minato only briefly introduced the situation, Yuhi Mikatsu quickly understood the current situation from the information he had received in this area before. It was at this time that the ninjas, who had determined that there seemed to be no other enemies nearby, also gathered around Mako Yuhi and Namikaze Minato. Advertisement, how is it? Did you get any news in this area? And how did that guy come back to life? And as Yuhi Mahong's words became more and more narrated, the expressions of the five shadows who were silently listening around became more solemn. The words of Shangjulang are also very simple. The King of Ghosts has the ability to resurrect ghosts. But this ability needs to consume his own precious blood of the King of Ghosts, so he will not use it easily. After hearing Kishoro's words, Wu Ying's expression became more and more solemn. And the guy he said was resurrected, naturally, was referring to Ying Yi. After all, he had seen Ying be executed by Cha Shoulong with his own eyes, and this piece of Nashin Spider Mountain should have been destroyed. If even the King of Demons revives his subordinates in this way regardless of his own losses, it means that the opponent's plan to attack the ninja world is truly determined to win, so Jiwi will not care about these small sacrifices. Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. After hearing Namikaze Minato's question, Yuhi Mako finally came back to her senses, and hurriedly informed Namikaze Minato of the information he finally collected in this area. As for the information he had given to other ninjas before, those scrolls seemed to be useless now. However, this time, the King of Ghosts chose to use this method to resurrect the attack. Thinking of this possibility, Wang felt a great pressure. The King of Ghosts can resurrect dead ghosts? The King of Ghosts is the source of all ghosts. Unless he can be beheaded, theoretically, as long as he is willing to pay the blood of his Ghost King. Any ghost can be reborn under his power. 93. It was the King of Ghosts who resurrected him, and it's because the Ghost Clan wants to attack the ninja world, and urgently needs immediate combat power. So the Ghost King Ji will choose to resurrect the Ghost Moon under his command in this way. But at this time, Zhengyi Nashin Spider Mountain has reappeared, which is undoubtedly a situation that makes Namikaze Minato difficult to understand. They naturally know that ghosts are hard to kill, but hard to kill and resurrection after death are two different things, so Namikaze Minato also watched Purgatory Kyojiro at this time. And seeing this scene, Namikaze Minato naturally brought the topic right. But Purgatory Kyosho Lang was not surprised. However, since my Ghost Killing Team and the Ghost Clan have fought against each other for so many years, the Ghost King seldom directly uses his own Ghost King blood to revive the evil ghosts one by one. After all, his blood is extremely precious, and instead of resurrecting his defeated subordinates, he can directly select and create new ghosts in a long time. So the reason for this has naturally made people feel heavy. Chapter 229, The Location of the Ghost Island. After knowing that even a killed ghost might be resurrected by the King of Ghosts with his own abilities, Wu Ying's heart was heavy and the importance of the next action became clearer. Because it is not difficult to listen to the information given by Yuhi Mako, the conspiracy on Onishima Island seems to have reached its final brewing period. Just like the Ghost's lair near Konoha now, you have reason to believe that there are likely to be similar strongholds of the Ghost clan near other shinobi villages. And once the preparations for the war on the Oni Island are completed, the stronghold of these Oni clans is likely to become a sharp sword to tear through the ninja world. After all, Yuhi Mako has clearly said about the huge space portal. The huge space channel should be to accommodate the giant army of Hueco Mundo to enter. In this way, the Oni Island side can send the giant army directly to the ninja world without knowing it. Once he successfully completes these layouts, then the war officially begins, and we have no chance of winning. Except for Terumi Mei, the five shadows have seen the giant army of Hueco Mundo with their own eyes, so they also know that those terrifying giants may have a single combat power of 453, but once the real hook is now in the ninja world, the destructive power that the huge body can cause in the war is simply beyond people's imagination. Not to mention that the giant army is only a part of the forces on the Island of Ghosts this time. If you take into account the large number of powerhouses in the three sides, it can be said that once the war officially starts, the ninja world is a situation that will inevitably lose. After all, neither the Jingling Ting nor the Ghost Killing Team can be integrated with the ninja world, nor can they provide immediate support and mobilization, and the world government is looking at this incident with an attitude of sitting on a mountain and watching tigers fight. On the other hand, on the enemy's side, the capital city of the Ghost Clan, Infinity City, is already shrouded above the Ghost Island, which shows that the interplay between the two sides is quite deep. Coupled with the unknown number of virtual and giant armies that escaped from the virtual circle, it is not proportional to the strength of the ninja world just by thinking about it. So this time, the five shadows really understand that their only chance is to act in advance. Advertisement. According to the news that Ma Hong said, it seems that the King of Demons and Kaido and other powerhouses are all preparing for war in Infinity Castle, and they have no time to worry about the movements of the ninja world. And the other ghost moons don't seem to have all reached the Ghost Island. This is our best chance. The current situation is similar to the war between the two armies. The army on one side is lining up to prepare food and grass. This is almost the weakest time of an Iron Army. And at this time, he directly chooses to take the initiative to inquire and raid the island of Oni when the King of Oni and Kaido are not paying attention here. This is the only chance for the ninja world to win. But the only problem with this process is, every ghost is inextricably linked to the King of Ghosts. After we kill Jien this time, perhaps the King of Ghosts will also be aware of our existence. This is the biggest problem. They have just killed the attack of the next generation, and the King of Demons may have learned of the change here because of this reason. After all, Naruto, the existence of Yuhi Zhenheng, also sensed it. Even if they know about the situation, there is a high probability that they will not give up the plan. But they will definitely move the Oni Island away from the current area to prevent us from carrying out a sneak attack. The five shadows will not use the idea of looking at a fool to see the King of Ghosts and Kaido, but use themselves as a template. If they are the King of Ghosts, AGCG, and Kaido, they will choose the current situation. How to do. Also in the sky I saw gulls, and the wind and current were southeasterly. I will go back to the village to check the village documents, and please send people from the major shinobi villages to help. Within 3 days, we will definitely be able to find the sea area that meets these requirements. The answer is of course needless to say. They may not directly cancel the plan because of the death of the attack, but they will definitely choose to move the Island of Ghosts away from the original sea area. Advertisement and Yuhi Mahong also understood the urgency of the situation, so she didn't give in at all. Yep. So at this time, the remaining 4 shadows immediately turned their attention to Terumi Mei. As soon as he thought of this, Wang also looked at Yuhi Jinheng. Jinheng, you said you saw the location of the Ghost Island before? Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Although this process was extremely short and he was later discovered by Naruto, as an elite Jonin who had performed many missions, just that one moment was enough for him to capture a lot of information. There are 3 islands near the sea area where Oni Island is located. 1 medium-sized island has a forest, and the remaining 2 are small islands. When the space channel was closed, he forcibly used Chara to sense the situation at the other end of the space channel. We must hurry up and raid before they move the Island of Ghosts, otherwise trying to find their traces next time is tantamount to finding a needle in a haystack. Even if the other party twisted the space through the power of Infinite City, but after experiencing such a wide range of different space enchantments, they have already experienced related events such as Ghost's Lair, Hueco Mundo, Jingling, and so on. Cognition and information are absolutely perceptible. When it comes to understanding the ocean, Terumi Mei, who is Mizukage, naturally bears the brunt. He laid down on a tray all the details of possible news and all that he had observed. Within a week at most, we must march on the Island of Ghosts. After hearing Yuri's words, Wu Ying's eyes also brightened. The currents in the sea area change according to the seasons, and it is easy to infer the approximate sea area where the Ghost Island is located with the help of the currents, while the seabirds and the nearby islands you can further speculate on the exact location of the fishing. In fact, Terumi Mei at this time really had a bottom line in her heart. Chapter 230, Konoha Tianrao, we have to learn breathing swordsmanship. With this unexpected event that can be said to have shaken the ninja world for a whole year, the Chunin exam that had been prepared for many days naturally had to be left alone. After all, the entire ninja world might be wiped out by the army of Oni Island tomorrow, so what's the point of failing the Chunin exam? Therefore, the ninjas who came to Konoha from various ninja villages can only say that they came and went quickly, and they soon returned to their own ninja villages with their shadows. Afterwards, all the ninja villages sent ninjas to Mist Ninja Village to search for the sea area file according to Terumi Mei. And the 5 shadows did not hide the current situation from the ninjas. After all, the outcome of the situation will not affect the matter itself. Whether it is the ninja world that finds the location of the Oni Island and takes the initiative to attack, or that the war on the Oni Island is ready to attack the ninja world, but in the end, this battle should be avoided. In other words, these ninjas are soldiers who will inevitably be on the battlefield in the future. So of course the 5 shadows will not intentionally hide too many things. And after knowing the crisis that the ninja world is facing now, the ninja world, which has already achieved great unity, also shows a side of concerted efforts. The ninjas of every ninja village are silently preparing for the arrival of this unprecedented war. After all, the previous war in the ninja world was a civil war in the ninja village, but this time it was a war in which the ninja world united against foreign enemies. Mentality is completely different. On the other hand, Namikaze Minato and the other 3 shadows went to the headquarters of the Ninja Association to find Naruto Otsutsugi and his son. Although they can't say that they have too much or too deep trust in the Otsutsugi father and son who suddenly appeared not long ago, but after all, these 2 are on the side of the ninja world, and there are still people behind them. The ancestor of the ninja world, Sage of 6 Paths, exists. Therefore, at the juncture of the survival and death of the ninja world, they naturally asked them for help. But as the entire ninja world started to get busy, the attitudes of the 3 messengers who came to Konoha were completely different. Enel chose to leave Konoha the first time he saw the ninja world. According to what he said, the news has been brought, and the rest depends on your own performance in the ninja world. Advertisement 0 and his performance is completely understandable to the filmmakers because in their opinion, this is the most normal position of the world government. After all, the world government itself is not a good organization. The reason why they sent people to pass the news is just because the 4 emperors are also their enemies, and it does not mean that they have great intentions for the ninja world. Now, seeing that a war between the 2 sides is inevitable, the world government will naturally choose to reap the benefits. As for this, although the filmmakers are extremely unhappy in their hearts, they have nothing to do. They can't forcefully offend the world government and drag it into a war at such a critical time. So Enel's departure is actually a good thing for Konoha. Otherwise, Namikaze Minato would not be able to feel at ease with such an unstable factor with a criminal record staying in the village. With the exception of Enel, the rest of Heben Killer's wife, Shiro, has been staying in the residence that Konoha arranged for him, rarely leaving. And for this, the senior officials of Konoha also nodded secretly. Yishilang's attitude is undoubtedly a perfect match to ask them about their understanding of Jingling. The proud and ancient Shinigami of Jingling are not good at dealing with the ninja world, even the best relationship with the ninja world. Yi Shilong can't help but show Yun's cold attitude. And among Konoha, the one with the most actions is naturally Purgatory Kishoro. After all, compared to Hitsugaya Yishiro and Enel, the relationship between Purgatory Kyojuro or the entire ghost killing team in Konoha is quite close. 0. This idea is not groundless, nor is it just a superficial slogan, but a real thought in their hearts. Therefore, Xingjulang is obviously quite famous in Konoha, and after he came to the village, he was warmly received by the village ninjas. There is no him, because these people in front of them are all true celestial beings, and at the same time they are still celestial loves who have experienced setbacks and seen the real horror of the world. Advertisement. Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. But there is no doubt that even Yi Lin, who manipulated the puppet of Shangjulang, did not expect it. What's the reason? And Yi Lin manipulated the puppet of Shangshulong to ask such questions, but in fact, he already understood the thoughts of these people in front of him. The 2 sides are not only comrades who have fought together more than once, especially all the Konoha ninjas in Nashin Spider Mountain are extremely grateful to Purgatory Kyojuro. After all, when the King of Ghosts destroyed Nashin Spider Mountain, it was exactly Shangjulang rescued them and came. The 4 young ninjas in front of them also all had serious expressions on their faces. Obviously, these Konoha's Tianji also made great psychological preparations and finally made a decision to come to Xingjulang's face forward. Sure enough, Kakashi answered quickly. Yes, Your Excellency Kajiro. Except for Kakashi, the faces of the remaining 3 also have the same sincerity and firmness. Looking at Kakashi, Uchiha Itachi, Uchiha Obito and Might Guy, who were standing in front of them with serious and sincere expressions, Kakashiro Purgatory was naturally surprised. That's right, a few of them chose to come here and come up with this idea. The biggest reason is because they want to be stronger. And much of Konoha's news came directly from the ghost killing squad. They all have reasons to become stronger. Loss. You want to learn breathing swordsmanship? We are not strong enough. We want to be stronger. 11. Chapter 231 opens the door to New World. Just as Kakashi and others said, the Tenji in the eyes of these ordinary ninjas all have reasons for having to become stronger. Kakashi was under the pressure of being the son of Hitaki Sakumo, and the pressure of being tortured by the life of his best friend in Akatsuki's organization until now. This pressure has allowed him to complete the transformation from a real Tengu ninja to a top jonin in a very short period of time. He was reckless and arrogant at the beginning, and after just a few battles and experiences, I don't know how many times it has improved in more than a year. But he knew that it was still not enough. Even if he has completely mastered the Hitaki flow swordsmanship you passed on, even if he has perfected his immature original ninjutsu rough bird 453, to the point of derivative rough bird flow and many other variants. But even so, it still cannot change the fact that he is still too weak compared to the opponents he expected. Age makes his physical function inevitably limited, so even though his actual combat ability is now above that of most elite jonin, he is still far from cage level. And the key point is that Kakashi himself can no longer find a way to move forward. His strength improvement inevitably encounters a bottleneck, and there must be something new to allow him to break through. Similarly, Uchiha Itachi and Shisui are in a similar situation. As the giants of the Uchiha family, both of them are Sharingans who awakened Sengoku at a young age, and their accomplishments in ninjutsu and genjutsu have reached extremely high levels. Even the two of them may actually have achieved the qualifications to open Mangekyo Sharingan. One by one, they have experienced the death of their father, while Shisui is a very rare virgin Uchiha in the Uchiha family. It is very simple to open Mangekyo. But again, the age limit prevents them from having enough pupil power to open the Mangekyo Sharingan. Therefore, their power has also reached a bottleneck now. As for the last guy, although he didn't reach the bottleneck, as a taijutsu, he naturally had a very strong desire to become stronger after seeing his father's figure who was fighting to the death with his own eyes. Although he shouted, "Youth and blood," but no one will remain calm in the face of the scene of their father fighting to the death. Advertisement. After hearing the words of a few people, Shang Sholong was also silent for a while. Especially behind several people, Yi Lin, who was manipulating the puppet of Shang Sholong, also muttered secretly. Obviously, what is happening now is not in his consideration and plan. Despite the fact that the breath of flame is a kind of breathing sword technique, it is not like Shinigami's Ryotsu, which needs to be used with the energy of the otherworld, the Reiki. So in theory, if you can practice for a long time, then the ninja in the ninja world will also have the opportunity to learn breathing swordsmanship. Of course, if it was Yi Lin in the past, then he would reject it without even thinking about it. After all, he couldn't commit such a useless thing. Not to mention Kakashi was fine, but the Uchiha Itachi duo definitely regarded his vest, Otsutsugi Ya, as the enemy. But now, the situation has obviously changed. In other words, Yi Lin's vision and thinking have changed. Because he is now very clear, if the ninjas in the ninja world learn to breathe swordsmanship or not, for him there are hardly any district police, because there will be no threat. With his strength, even if the strength of Uchiha Itachi and Shisui were doubled dozens of times, it was impossible to have a little threat. His real enemies are only the Otsutsugi clan outside that day. But it happens that, in the positioning of the Otsutsugi clan, the ninja world and him are actually in the same line. Once the Otsutsugi clan descends, the ninja world will inevitably be unable to escape the fate of destruction. Even if the Otsutsugi clan did not mention the issue of the clan, they just learned from Kagaya that the Senluo soldiers, according to Yi Lin's judgment, the individual strength should be at least above the elite jonin, or even the individual strength of cage level. The number is definitely enough to form an army. Advertisement. Even Sage of Six Paths, which has a strange relationship with him, is only the same level to him. The individual strength of the ninja world is weak. I can make them stronger. This gap is not the gap between one person and two people, but the gap between each individual. So even as a chess piece, for Yi Lin, the ninja world was actually a bit tasteless and a pity to abandon. Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. On the other hand, in the ninja world, although there are not too many cage-level powerhouses, they are not too many. Even if Naruto and Urzuzi and Xiaoqiang grow up in the future, the gap between them will still be uneven. This is also the reason why Yi Lin Mingming has the power to easily destroy the ninja world, but he still performs the infernal affairs here with peace of mind. To put it more directly, Yi Lin's field of vision is not on this planet at all. For him, the entire ninja world is just a bigger chessboard. As long as it is handled properly, when the Otsutsugi clan descends in the future, the ninja world may have a great effect. But now, the words suddenly mentioned by Kakashi and others have undoubtedly opened the door to the new world for Yi Lin. After all, after many enhancements, Yi Lin has more than 4 SSS level powers alone. But Yi Lin also had to face a problem, that is, there is actually a huge gap between the ninja world and the Otsutsugi clan. As for the other ninjas 2.6, they are not even cannon fodder in this kind of police war. Even if Yi Lin has a good plan, then the ninja world can become a good pawn in his hand. For example, he used the ninja's Charlie to recover the 10 tails at hand, and he used this pawn of the ninja world. One of the ways. Chapter 232 The Origin of 8 Inner Gates. While thinking about it, Yi Lin also knew that this idea still needs to be carefully polished to consider the pros and cons. Therefore, facing Kakashi and others who were looking forward to him at this time, he manipulated the puppet of Purgatory Kyojuro and only gave a subtle answer. Breathing swordsmanship originated from the lord of my ghost killing team. I am not qualified to pass it on without permission. But considering the current situation in the ninjutsu world, after returning to the team this time, I will respond to the master's request to pass the breathing swordsmanship to everyone in ninjutsu. With the Lord's foresight and heart, the chances of agreeing should be not small. After hearing Kishoro's answer, Kakashi and the others did not feel any loss in their hearts, but showed joy on their faces. The reason is also very simple. Their request for Xingjulang this time was actually a try. As ninjas, they themselves are very aware of the degree of rigor in the inheritance of ninjutsu or some powerful forbidden techniques or secret techniques of some senior police officers in the ninja world. The police say that they are people from other forces, even if they are the major families within Konoha. Their secret techniques are almost a single line, and they will deliberately reserve some of the most secret techniques only for those who inherit the position of the chief people. Under this circumstance, it is already a shocking joy for Kakashi and others that Purgatory Kashalong can give Yun such an answer or promise. And these days, they have also learned about Xing Shoulang's character. The Yenju of the ghost killing team is a warm and sunny person. Once he promises, he will almost do everything he can to accomplish. He is an upright man. And now that he has made such a promise, it is not impossible for the breathing sword technique to be introduced into the ninja world. Thank you, Yenju. So at this time, Kakashi and others naturally expressed their gratitude to Kishoro. But it was at this time that Xing Shoulang took the initiative to reveal, beyond their expectations, by the way, Guy, I'm curious about one thing. After hearing Xing Shoulang's words, the others were naturally stunned, especially Guy, who was named by Shang Shoulang, was even more puzzled. Although he is undoubtedly a Tianji of Taijutsu, but pure Taijutsu ninja in the ninja world is not very recognized, and it is even more inconspicuous in Kakashi, Uchiha Itachi these days. Advertisement therefore, at this time, Shang Shoulang suddenly spoke, and he was naturally quite surprised. That strange ninjutsu that your father used was called the 8 Inner Gates formation? Can you tell me the history of that technique? Xing Shoulang asked straight to the point at this time. 8 Inner Gates formation? After hearing Xing Shoulang's question, everyone present suddenly realized, and then they all watched Guy. After all, it is not more than 10 years later in the original book, and the current Kakashi has not learned 8 Inner Gates formation from Guy, and he even knew about the existence of this art not long ago. Not to mention Uchiha Itachi and Shisui, the pride of the Uchiha clan has always made them less concerned about taijutsu. However, they were not too surprised by Kishulang's inquiry. Because the power of the ghost killing team breathing swordsmanship shown by Kajiro so far, obviously does not belong to the category of Ninja World Chara. In other words, ninjutsu is meaningless to the flame pillar of the Ghost Slayer team. But 8 Inner Gates formation is obviously a power in taijutsu, so it is natural for Kajiro to feel curious. As for Shangjulang's inquiry, several people did not feel that there was anything wrong. After all, although Kishoro is not a ninja of Konoha, he can be said to be a life-saving grace to them, a real benefactor. And he didn't directly ask Guy to teach him 8 Inner Gates formation, but just wanted to know the origin of this technique, which is not a problem in reason. So at this time, they all looked at Guy together, waiting for his answer. The origin of the 8 Inner Gates worn by Might is also a question that he has been somewhat puzzled about in the original book. Advertisement Might wears a genin, and he can recover from his incompleteness through 20 years of persistent research and passion for physical art. Such perseverance, persistence and talent are all admirable. After all, 8 Inner Gates formation is obviously the ninjutsu that already exists from the original work, not Might Day's original, otherwise Madara would not be able to recognize it. Yes, it's a broken scroll of the sky pattern passed down from the Warring States period in the village's library. I don't know the specifics. That. A scroll? But if Might wears a genin, it's unlikely to get in touch with ninjutsu's rank police. Guy nodded. In particular, they have also seen the power of Might Dai when he casts 8 Inner Gates formation, and also know that this secret technique is an absolute secret technique above S rank. And Guy didn't really care after hearing Xing Shoulang's question, he just said with a smile. I also knew from my dad before that. That is the only secret technique that my dad spent 20 years refining. The incomplete scroll of the sky pattern passed down from the Warring States period, a bit interesting. After hearing Guy's words, Kakashi and others naturally have some admiration in their hearts. And now, this question has finally been answered. Might Dai discovered this incomplete physical art from a damaged scroll and relied on his own efforts and long-term persistence to successfully restore this divine-level mystery. After hearing Guy's words, Yi Lin was also stunned. As for the origin, according to my father, it was the incomplete body art recorded on a scroll in the village. He has been comprehending it for so many years, and finally he has completed it. Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. As a hot-blooded man, Guy obviously doesn't have so many twists and turns in his speech, and it can also be said to be concise when explaining things. However, Yi Lin's heart was full of doubts. Chapter 233 The Fourth Fairyland? Yi Lin naturally already knew by now that the secret techniques of ninjas in the ninja world were almost always passed down through word of mouth or scrolls. Of course, the scroll is not as simple as a piece of paper. The precious ninjutsu scrolls that have been passed down from generation to generation are processed by various families or ninjutsu villages with extremely special methods, whether it is the material or the engraving on it. The ninja patterns are of great value. In particular, some precious ninjutsu scrolls handed down from the Warring States period are classified into 3 grades according to their degree of secrecy: celestial pattern, pattern, and ninjutsu pattern. The higher the level of the scroll, the more precious and powerful the secret arts recorded on it. But because the division of these 3 kinds of ninja patterns is actually only from before the Warring States period, and the scrolls after the Warring States period gave up the concept of the 3 levels of ninja patterns. In particular, the scrolls of Tianwen were almost completely destroyed in the continuous war that almost never ceased during the Warring States period. But even so, the existence of the Celestial Scroll is still a legend in the ninja world. It is said that the iconic ninjutsu similar to Rock Shinobi's tyranny belongs to the content of a Celestial Scroll of Rock Shinobi. For example, the Book of Seals that recorded a large number of secret arts of Konoha and a large number of forbidden arts of the Master of Forbidden Arts, Tabarama, is a scroll of the sky pattern. So usually, the police say that it is Genin or Chunin, and even ordinary Jonin can't easily consult the scrolls of Tianwen grade, such as the Book of Seals, which has always been a precious treasure that Hokage can consult. So there is a problem at this point. The 8 inner gates formation that Might Dai practiced came from a broken scroll of heavenly patterns passed down from the Warring States period. So how is this scroll broken, and where did it come from? It's not a scroll made by Tobarama, then either it's a Hashirama, or something older. And considering that Hashirama himself has never shown the ability of 8 inner gates formation even in the battle with Madara and in the original book, the probability of difficult Hashirama is also very low. Advertisement. As soon as I thought of this, the answer almost came out. This scroll is likely to be something that existed before the formation of the current ninja village order in the ninja world. And in that period of time that can be said to be the most chaotic and disorderly in the ninja world, according to Yi Lin's knowledge, Sage of 6 Paths and Kagaya should no longer exist in the ninja world, and the duo of the Otsutsugi clan have long since been destroyed. Seal. And at that time, the only one who could create the legendary 8 inner gates formation. It may be in existence similar to the 3 great immortal lands, and it is not Mount Myoboku. Yi Lin knew this in his heart, but at the same time he was sure that it was not Mount Myoboku who created the 8 inner gates formation. After all, he had already been to Mount Myoboku and fought a battle directly, and also killed the Lord of Mount Myoboku. Toad Sage. If the 8 inner gates formation is passed down to Mount Myoboku, then the great Toad Sage as the patriarch of Mount Myoboku certainly would, and there is no reason why it should not be used against him. Therefore, according to Yi Lin's guess, the origin of the 8 inner gates formation is either Shibone Forest or Longdi Cave. But here's the problem. Shizuku Forest has always been known for its healing ability, while Longdi Cave is not close to Konoha. And when he thought of this, Yi Lin had another doubt in his heart. It was a problem he had known for a long time, but had not paid much attention to. By the way, where did first Hokage and Hashirama's sage mode come from? Yi Lin couldn't help but have such a guess, although the guess itself was very unreasonable. Yi Lin had an inexplicable feeling in his heart that this was probably a try. Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. But he also knew that at this time, it was not very convenient for him to make inquiries. Advertisement, and the 8 inner gates formation, did it come from there? Hashirama has sage mode. Yi Lin originally thought that this might be related to his so-called immortal body, but now as his strength increases, he also knows that Hashirama's so-called immortal body. The body actually refers to the physique of the Sage of 6 Paths, that is, the innate ability to use the power of all things. However, his sage mode is obviously not from any of the 3 immortal lands. In other words, the sage mode of Hashirama's hands cannot be brought by him, but acquired after the practice of sage mode the day after tomorrow. But the problem is that this kind of physique that controls the power of all things belongs to the talent of the Otsutsugi clan. As Li Hao, after all, since there can be Great Toad Sage, White Snake Immortal and Katsuyu Immortal, then who says there can't be a Dog Immortal and Cat Immortal? He really hadn't given much thought to this issue before, until now he went around him and suddenly found that the situation was a bit strange. So Yi Lin can only temporarily put his doubts about the scroll in his heart. After all, now is not the time to think about it. With such an idea in his heart, Yi Lin naturally wanted to see the broken scroll the guy said his father saw. But sage mode is different. It's something Toad Maru taught Sage of 6 Paths, and it's not part of constitution or talent at all. Is there a 4th place to practice sage mode in addition to the 3 immortal lands? This is like the Toad family of Mount Myoboku. Even after so many years of inheritance, every new Toad still needs to practice and refine Sage Jutsu chakra in order to practice Sage Jutsu. This is not something that can be inherited from physique. It's almost time for them to discover the location of Oni Island. After all, his current identity is the Yenju of the Ghost Killing Team. It is reasonable to ask about the origin of the 8 inner gates formation, but if he continues to ask about the location where the scrolls are stored, it will undoubtedly be a bit out of bounds. Chapter 234 The Discovery of Sand Shinobi. After she knew from Yuhi Mako that some typical characteristics of the sea area where Onishima Island existed, the entire ninja world naturally began to conduct an intensive investigation. As the ninja village that knows the most about the ocean, Mist Ninja Village has also become the headquarters for finding the location of Oni Island. Under the circumstance that the Moon Net project has almost connected the entire ninja world, The ninjas sent by various small and large ninja villages to search the island of Oni also gathered in the Mist Ninja, and formed several teams to target the ninja search charts and marine information that the village has accumulated over the years. After searching for this period of time, they also determined several sea areas based on the news of Yuhi Zhenheng. These sea areas were all in line with the surrounding island environment and the types of seabirds that Yuhi Zhenheng said. If there is no accident, the sea area where Onishima Island is located should be among these sea areas. After identifying several sea areas as targets, the Ninja World naturally sent a large number of perception ninjas to explore various sea areas. They also knew that it would be impossible to directly see 453 where the entire island of Oni is located. After all, according to Yuri's news, the island of Oni itself seems to be covered by the infinity castle of the Oni clan, and the entire island is all hidden. But all of you are sure that even if the infinite city is used as a cover, there will always be subtle problems. After all, such a large island is hidden. It is absolutely impossible to say that there are no flaws. And with their crowd tactics and the carpet-like search pattern of the perceptual ninjas they sent, this subtle flaw will be found sooner or later. Area No 2041, no anomalies. At this time, several Sand Shinobi's perceptive ninjas are also riding on the water ninja boat, developed by Kirin on the sea. As the birthplace of puppet art, Sand Shinobi itself is unique in controlling Zara with consciousness masters, especially the number of perceptual ninjas. After all, in essence, every puppet master can his own Shirela is extremely meticulous, and can condense the Chara line around AGCG, and what this needs is the subtle perception of Chara. In other words, every puppet master actually has the talent to become a sentient ninja. It is precisely because of this that the number of perceptual ninjas requested by Sand Shinobi's spellboard is still the largest among the 5 major ninja villages. At this time, the perceptive ninjas of Sand Shinobi were just taking back their Chara lines and their perceptions spreading along the Chara lines. Their expressions at this time were also a little tired, but they were used to it. Advertisement. In order to ensure that the search is not enough, the Ninja World divides the sea areas that need to be searched into a large number of different areas, and each ninja village is responsible for a part of the area. For example, these Sand Shinobi need to search about 10 areas every day, and now this No 2041 area is only the 7th area they searched today. Finally close, and then let's go to the next area. At this time, the Sand Shinobi village elite Jonin, Buduo, who is the leader of these Sand Shinobi, said so. Yes. After hearing Buduo's words, the other Sand Shinobi nodded naturally. They also know that this incident is the most important thing in the ninja world right now, and it can even be said that it directly affects the safety of the entire ninja world. If the existence of Onishima is missed because of negligence, then it means that the efforts of so many ninjas for so long have been in vain because of this negligence, and the entire ninja world is likely to be wiped out because of this negligence. Disaster. So no matter who it is, naturally, they don't dare to neglect. Every batch of perceptual ninjas will almost carry out another coverage scan to finish after the survey and search. So at this time, several Sand Shinobi also closed their eyes, and then bursts of Chara came out from their bodies, sweeping towards the surrounding sea area. As a result, every drop of seawater and every wisp of sea breeze is incomparably clear in their senses. But it is also at this time. Yep, as the leader of this batch of Sand Shinobi perception ninjas, but also the strongest perception ability, Buduo's expression suddenly moved at a certain moment, which seemed a little unbelievable. Then, he immediately increased his Chara's loss, then. Advertisement, that is. Therefore, in his perception, he could also feel that in a certain piece of seawater in the south, a wave disappeared inexplicably. Of course, the disappearance of these waves was originally very inconspicuous, and there may not be any difference at all when observing the sea surface with the naked eye. Even in the perception of Zara, the existence of this wave can only be noticed by the circumstance that the Buddha just happened to look at it and his heart is serious and cautious, otherwise it will definitely be ignored. Even Buddha himself, who noticed this, was not sure if it was just his illusion at this time. South, less than 1,000 meters in the sea, we use the secret technique to scan once. Therefore, Buddha also said immediately at this time. Yes, Chief. After hearing the words, the other Sand Shinobi naturally knew what Buddha seemed to have discovered, and their expressions instantly became more dignified. So soon, they also directly used Sand Shinobi Village's secret technique, perception linking technique, to connect their chakras and perceptions. Similar secret techniques exist in almost all ninja villages, but it is not a big deal, rare. But the key is that after the perceptions of several of them are completely connected with Zara, everyone also swept towards the sea area according to Buduo's guidance. Then, that is, sure enough, under the greatly enhanced perception ability, Sand Shinobi discovered the problem. That space is hidden by some kind of power. Chapter 235. Our goal is to maintain balance. In the current ninja world, it can be said that the dissemination of an important news takes almost no time. Almost in less than half a day after Budo and other Sand Shinobi discovered the abnormality in the sea area, the news had already spread from the Mist Ninja Village to the Ninja World Association, and thus to all the other shadows. Immediately after that, in order to ensure the accuracy of the news, the major ninja villages also sent a group of perception ninjas to the sea area where the abnormality was found to conduct multiple all-round detections. And the result of the detection is generally the same as the news returned by Budo. There is indeed a different space in that sea area. And after the detection, the size of this anomalous area was roughly measured and caught, and it was exactly the size of a large ocean island. So at this point, the ninja world is almost certain that what exists in this sea area is exactly the old lair of Kaido, the island of ghosts, that they are looking for. So then, the meeting related to the entire ninja world was naturally opened in the Ninja World Association. The participants of the meeting were naturally the 5 shadows of the 5 great ninja villages, as well as the leaders of other small and medium-sized ninja villages. What we need to discuss is how to attack that island. Of course, when the general policy of attacking Onishima has already been determined, what they need to discuss is not whether to attack, but how to attack. The known suspected combat power on the island of Oni is now known as Kaido, one of the 6 Paths level powerhouses, one of the 4 emperors, and the king of Oni. In addition, at least one evil ghost in the 12 ghost months can be confirmed to exist, but it can also be confirmed that some ghosts have not yet reached the island of ghosts. If all arrive, then in addition to Wu Jian, who has been killed, there should be a total of 11 ghost moons. In addition, hundreds of beasts, Kaido's subordinates, can be identified as the powerhouses called the 3 major disasters. According to the information of the ghost killing team, the 3 major disasters seem to be called Fire, U, Epidemic Disaster, Quinn and Drought, J. Advertisement, under the 3 major disasters, there are also 6 children in the sky, who are second only to the 3 major disasters, and are roughly cage-level powerhouses. In addition, the powerhouses on the island include an unknown number of powerhouses under the command of another 4 emperors, Charlotte Linlin, as well as the giant army and espada sent by Hueco Mundo. As the saying goes, knowing oneself and knowing one's enemies will not be perilous in 100 battles. Of course, the ninja leaders who have been battle-hardened also know this. Therefore, at this time, they were first calculating the military power hidden on the enemy islands. But after this calculation, they felt that it was a cold in their hearts. And this is only a rough estimate, and even a relatively optimistic algorithm in the ninja world. But even with this calculation, there are at least 20 strong people above cage level. Not to mention that there are at least 2 6 Paths level existences. To put it bluntly, just the power they know now is completely enough to destroy the ninja world. The only good news is that it can be judged based on the information returned by Mako Yuhi. Kaido, the king of Oni and some of the enemy's forces should be busy preparing for the war at this time, and the infinite space above the Oni island should be in the city, and it is in a critical period and cannot use too strong force to intervene in the outside world. In this way, our pressure will be much less. Indeed, as Namikaze Minato said, this is the only good news. The other shadows also understood what Namikaze Minato meant at this time. They can't attack head-on, otherwise Kaido and the king of Oni will surely know the news of their attack no matter how busy they are. Once these two return to Oni Island for the first time to organize a defense, even if the whole army of the ninja world will attack, it is also an inevitable ending. In fact, the 2 6 Paths level powerhouses, the King of Ghosts and Kaido, were not within the scope of the 5 Shadows plan. These 2 6 Paths level powerhouses estimated that there were only Sage of 6 Paths and Naruto Otsutsugi can contend. Advertisement. Even according to the judgment made by the 5 shadows who have watched so many 6 Paths level powerhouse battles, even Sage of 6 Paths can only fight against the King of Ghosts. In terms of sealing or killing, the fact is an unrealistic thing. 0. For flowers. And what the King of Ghosts feared from the beginning to the end was never their ninja world, but organizational forces like Jingling and the Ghost Killing Squad. There is a delicate balance between these forces, which involves most of their fighting power. For example, the ordinary ghosts of the Ghost family, except for the 12 Ghost Moons, do not dare to show up easily. Otherwise, after the ghost kills the team, it will be beheaded. And Hueco Mundo can't send too many people, because the Spirit King is in the Hueco Mundo conquest. Even Kaido must be afraid of other 4 emperors or the world government's prying eyes, and after the army is settled, he must keep a low profile. And the actions of Kaido and the King of Ghosts this time are undoubtedly to break this balance. What the ninja world has to do is to crack the opponent's action, so that the whole situation will return to its original balance, and the ninja world can get more time to develop. So what they have to do is not actually to attack the King of Oni and Kaido, but to sneak into the Oni Island and sneak up on the enemy's army. After all, according to what they now know, although the large army of the enemies on the island of Oni is powerful, it is not impossible to solve them. They have seen the giant army before, and the ninjas can still kill them in groups. And once the opponent's military strength is resolved, the ninjas can retreat immediately. Because in a short period of time, the Hueco Mundo, who is being conquered by the Spirit King, will definitely not be able to send the next army out of the virtual circle, and the ghost killing team will definitely not sit by and watch the Ghost family continue to carry out large-scale operations. Balance everything and buy time for the ninja world, that's what we need to do. But to do this, just a few ninja villages are not enough. All ninja villages must send all their elites to stand by in the country of water, loss.